The Forbidden Door, number 2. It is Thursday night. Oh my God, I should know this date. 25th anniversary of something very big went down last night. It is April 14, 2022. I am back once again. Tonight, I am not alone. I'm joined along with...
I'm the ghost of Mean Gene Okerlund. No, this is Joe Cronin. What's going on?
Oh, what's going on, Joe?
I'm so happy to be here. I was thinking about it all night. I just got home in time to do it. It's perfect. I feel like I made this celebrity entrance or something.
It's awesome. A lot of people were looking forward to it. I was as well. And, you know, me, a lot of people don't know this, but I suffer from narcolepsy. And I fall asleep during the day numerous times. And I made myself a giant geisha coffee to make sure, you know, I am awake, energetic. And I tell you, it's a pleasure to do a show, an episode with someone that knows what they're doing. I literally, no joke, everyone, we didn't do audio checks. We didn't do video checks. I sent him a link. He clicked it. Poof, on the screen, perfectly centered, you know, colors perfectly fine. You know, everything should be like that.
Luckily, I've been, well, and let me start by telling you really quickly how I know about you, because I think let's put over Don Tony first, because I've been doing this video thing now for a long time, since 2005, really on YouTube, but since 2012 was the year that I said I'm going to go live on YouTube, because YouTube only had the Google Hangouts and it kind of worked. And I'd started to go live on other places before that, Stickam and things like that. And I went live on all these places that nobody knew where the hell I was and whatever. But you're one of the people that I would, you know, listen to years ago, audio only. And I don't even remember now, like, where I listened to it. But it was your voice in my head. And I'm sure you're like me. You know, we go back to, like, old radio and, you know, the times back in the day. When I was 9 years old in 1992, I think I heard Howard Stern for the first time somehow. And I'd have all the tapes, and then it was Howard Stern and Loveline and whatever the local radio, the craziest night shows you could find on AM radio, whatever they were. And obviously into wrestling also at the same time, so we share that, I'm sure. And so, like, you know this, when you first see a person, and I first saw you, I actually only first saw you when you started doing the YouTube thing, because you finally kind of converted over to this. You'd been doing podcasting for so long. And I remember thinking, like, people like you, Solomonster, everybody, even when I was did podcast with JD, I would tell him, I'm like, I can't believe none of these people go live on YouTube and on video. And I would think this back in years ago, 2015 and 14.
Yeah.
And I kind of had this whole thing to myself at the time, really. It was kind of amazing.
Oh, it's still your baby. I mean, the only reason why I even moved to YouTube is because I needed a challenge. You know, just felt like you're doing it just to do it. But not only that, this was something that I wanted to do 10 years ago, and just it didn't work out. And then we wanted to revisit it 5 years later, and it just didn't work out. I had the opportunity to do FM radio a long time ago, and it didn't work out. I had the opportunity to do AM radio. Sirius Satellite was discussed. The problem is, if you can't get all the eggs to be in the same basket, you know, with the same mindset, you know, it doesn't work. So came to a point where I said, you know what, let's just do it, see what happens. Let's have fun. I mean, this is why I'm here, just to have fun. I mean, it's not about trying to choke anybody's chicken. It's not about trying to hurt anybody. It's just about having fun.
Well, but, we shop at the same store, first of all. Because,
yeah, you know, honestly, it's my bad haircut. That's the only reason why I wear that. I mean, I used to wear the hat because I was too lazy to get a haircut. Then I got a haircut and looked at myself with the haircut, and I'm like, nah, let's just leave that.
No, the hat's cool. Like, see? And I have a tiny head, a weird tiny head, so I have to have, like, the flat, like, Adidas cap that only they make, this flat thing that just... And I think that's why I'm going bald. I think it's from falling asleep with this thing on. It pads down the scalp or whatever.
Yeah. And I wear black shirts because even though I lost weight, I still got big bazoombas over here. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. And now I'm 218 right now. So we're probably, cool. Me and you are very similar, I think.
I'm about 45, 50 pounds ahead of you. So.
All right. Well, and then the New York and Boston thing. So we'll have a fight later or something.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to get into everybody's questions. We're also going to talk a little bit about the big debut yesterday on AEW Dynamite. Chat questions, super chat. Obviously, super chat will take a little VIP in this, but I got to show everybody something really quick. I have another one on its way to me. And, I had mentioned that a few people who tune into the shows went to WrestleMania in Dallas, and people were offering to send me souvenirs. And I honestly didn't expect, because a lot of people, I'm sure they promise you something and they don't come through. They mean well, but they don't come through. Two people said to me, hey, I'm going to send you the program. Now, I don't know if you've ever gone to like baseball games, but you go and you buy a program and it's probably like 6 sheets of paper and it's like you do the scorecard and it's not anything you would keep. I got one of the 2 souvenir programs today. And I can't obviously show it well through here, but I got to show everyone how freaking massive this is. Wow. It is heavy. And not only that, it is 2 books in one. It is WrestleMania, the preview, and on the other side is the Hall of Fame. And I tell you, for the life of me, I cannot understand why WWE does not have this on sale on WWE Shop. Are the pages really thick, or are they like? It is. Look thick. Look. Wow. It looks thick, glossy. They sold this there for $25, and I got to be honest with you, this is worth more than $25. It's got a lot of WrestleMania history inside. It goes through all the WrestleManias. I mean, this is not like a 6-page book. It highlights a lot of WrestleMania. It shows you the matches. Obviously we didn't know, officially it was going to be Cody. But I got to tell you, and look, I mean, they obviously had Omos and Bobby Lashley already planned because these books were printed way before even Lashley was back on TV. Right. But I tell you, I was shocked on how huge and how awesome the quality was of this thing. I mean, I could only imagine how much they're going to go for on eBay. I have not checked it yet, but props to Mikey for sending that. I mean, he good. They're beautiful. That's better than this. I had somebody send me a Super Bowl one once, and it doesn't look as impressive as that. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked at how awesome that is. So I think what I'll do is maybe on the weekend I have a GoPro. I've never used it. I bought it 2.5 years ago, thinking I was going to use a GoPro on the shows. I had this visions of doing cooking stuff, and I was going to strap it to my chest and be in front of the stove and cooking linguine with garlic and oil and doing all Italian stuff. And it's never been used. Never been used. I would do that, but I would do probably a very inappropriate comedy show where like I'm cooking, but I'm just talking crazy stuff the whole time. Man. But yeah, that's a great idea. I'd love to see the Don Tony GoPro. Oh my God. Show. I bought all the bells and whistles, and it's sitting in a box since. Wow. Sitting in a box. Well, last night, AEW Dynamite went down, and once again, I mean, I have said this on Monday. I said it on Patreon. I said it last week. I don't know why people still aren't aware of this. I have not done a show for 2 Wednesdays in a row on YouTube. I have done them for Patreon. Patreon used to be Tuesdays. I moved it to Wednesdays for a little while. And the reason why I moved it to Wednesdays is because, for me, respect is a big thing. Respect is a big thing, especially when I'm older. And if I'm going to put work into something, I don't need acknowledgement from AEW. I don't need a thank you. I don't need anything like that. But, when I see this culture of disrespect, and I see a lot of wrestlers in AEW leading the way, and I see the owner leading the way, accusing people that if you're critical of the product, you're a robot, you're a troll, you're a hater. So it intimidates people to say publicly, look, I thought Satnam Singh's debut sucked. I thought that was worse than the Great Khali. I thought it was this. And people are afraid. So people today are like, the reason why it happened is because of this. Oh, but India has 2 billion people and the United States has 300 million. So it's logical for Tony Khan. I mean, when I want to impress someone, if we're going to have like a 10,000 live audience today, I'm certainly not going to bring on someone that looks like an Oompa Loompa, or somebody that people don't recognize. Hey, everybody, here is Joey Schmuck. It's like you put something on TV yesterday to impress India, to impress Discovery, and it
Don't
sucked.
do it in the main event. Don't do it in the main event. Here's the thing. When you debut a guy like Paul White, a big monster guy at the end of, the Valentine's Day Massacre, it's in the main event. Your main guy's in there. So even the people that don't know who this guy is, when most people did know who he was, but, it seems like an impactful introduction to somebody. Putting a guy like this in the main event of a run-over show against Samoa Joe for the Ring of Honor belt, it just felt misplaced. Like that should have happened at 9 o'clock, not 10 o'clock. And that would have been much better if that had been the case.
Let me ask you an honest question. Let me ask everybody tuning in an honest question, whether you're live on the download and on this channel and on Joe's and a lot of others, you do have the freedom to speak your mind. Nobody's going to rip you. But let me ask you all a question who are huge Ring of Honor fans. Maybe you used to love Ring of Honor and you fell out of favor, and now the lovers come back because of Tony Khan and putting new energy and money and time and effort into it. I ask every single person live, and I ask Tony Khan, any Ring of Honor fan out there, welcome to see Satnam Singh appear for, Ring of Honor, Honor of Gold 3. I mean, you give me even a quarter of the Ring of Honor fans say, yeah, man, I can't wait to see him in Ring of Honor. I mean, come on. I mean, for a Ring of Honor storyline, you put him on Dynamite. First of all, Ring of Honor, you incorporated with Samoa Joe. Sure, they could be wreaking havoc, and they'll probably try to cover up by having Singh attack an AEW wrestler next week. But the fact is, I don't know anybody that is a Ring of Honor fan, a current Ring of Honor fan, that wants to see that guy in that promotion.
There's too much Ring of Honor pushing. It was confusing. I mean, like, we know what's going on pretty decently, but I noticed that last night at the end. I said, wow, they're doing way too much. Like, it's confusing people, and it's confusing everybody. Like, the focus is off AEW. Now it's on Ring of Honor, I guess. It's just very strange. Yeah, nobody liked that. I mean, listen, maybe there's a few people sucking up to them, or they're afraid they're bots. The truth is in the middle. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of bots. There's like 10% are bots, but everybody else are real AEW fans. And I get what Tony's saying. He's not wrong, but you can't just paint with a broad brush that everybody's a bot. I mean, people that like blow him were criticizing it last night. I mean, lots of people criticized that, and people that are that was a definite miss. So when people who sound like they're trying to get a job with the guy every week are saying that stunk, so I mean, it wasn't good. Then the timing of the show was just off. Maybe if they had ended with Punk and Penta, maybe, I don't know. I would have ended with MJF, but
you know what? I understand that they're going to do the taping tomorrow. It's going to be live Rampage and then the taping for Battle of the Belts for Saturday. I get it. But what they should have done is they should have flip-flopped it. Even though there's no belt, but there is a belt, because when we could show it, they're going to have a Ring of Honor title defense on Battle of the Belts. So what they should have done is they should have had Hangman Page versus Adam Cole 2 to close out Dynamite. And they should have had Samoa Joe versus Minoru Suzuki to close out Rampage. And you have Satnam Singh make his debut on Rampage, a smaller audience. Ring of Honor is not the focal point, and they should have done that on Friday. But instead, they think they're going to pop this gigantic rating for Hangman Page versus Adam Cole, and they may do 7. But if they don't, I mean, that just adds further damage to Hangman Page. So
let's take the bets now. Take the bets now. I'm saying 6:30. Let's go.
I think they probably would do. It's not a bad number. I think they'll do.
You have to go 6:35.
I got to do Family Feud on you. You said 6:30. Okay. I got to go 6:31.
You got to do that. I mean, like, I put you in a position. That was I think it was a good bet. Yeah, okay, 6:31. So we got it, guys. All the super chat. No, but Friday we'll find out. We didn't get the rating for last night's show
yet.
Yes,
we did. We did. The rating went down a little bit. It went down very small. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I think it was 979, and then last week it went up to 989. This week it went to 977. So basically, Samoa Joe made his debut last week, got 10,000 new viewers, and then this week it went right back to what it was 2 weeks ago. Look, I haven't put this on my screen yet, and I don't have it prepared for tonight. I'm sorry, but I invited.
We're that good. We're that damn good. We didn't need to prepare for nothing.
Honestly,
shout out to Casey is raw. He's in the chat and he's eating everything.
The only notes that I have tonight is just some questions. I picked the best ones for tonight, and a couple of pictures. But if you look, I'm sure you've picked up on this too. A lot of websites that try to sugarcoat AEW's Dynamite rating and still compare it to 12 months ago. 12 months ago, CM Punk wasn't even there yet. Neither was Adam Cole, then Bryan Danielson, and you just go down the line. So it's deceptive. But you look since CM Punk made his Dynamite debut, which I use as the needle to go from, because after CM Punk's debut, this is where you started getting a lot of other big names making their debut as well. And you look at Dynamite from the time CM Punk debuted on Dynamite to now, I mean, not only has the rating actually gone down, but I think they have hit their point, 900,000 to 1 million. That's what it seems like, because look, a lot of wrestlers who wrestled in Ring of Honor, I mean, a lot of them did not draw 2-3 million people. They may have been on WWE television, and, it takes two to tango. But you look at every release that WWE has made, especially the wrestlers around NXT, and they show up, they're not blowing it through the roof with the ratings. People yesterday are blaming it on the playoffs. First of all, yesterday's NBA playoff was a blowout. Second of all, NBA playoffs has gone down 3 years in a row with AEW, and their ratings are lower than what they were a year ago. And the third thing is, and I think this is probably most important, is since it was a blowout yesterday, what you're basically telling your fans is that even with a blowout, you couldn't get 1 million people to watch your show. That even a blowout couldn't get the same people to change the channel. I don't think 1 million is bad. But
also a blowout, you get channel surfers. You get people who are like, what the hell else is on? All right, I was ready to watch TV tonight, and now this sucks. All right, I'm going to turn the dial. And here's the thing. Just look at the line graph. Just go get yourself a line graph, type in the numbers. It doesn't matter, NBA, duck hunting, Super Bowl, whatever is on, it doesn't matter. The numbers all add up eventually to giving you an accurate amount. They are at the number you just mentioned, somewhere between 800,000 and 1.1, but probably more towards like you said, 900,000. That's their number. And here's the thing. CM Punk came back too late. If CM Punk had come back in a year to 2 to 3 after leaving WWE, those fans aren't here anymore. Those fans primarily, I think, were casual viewers at the time. They were those people who started watching wrestling, in the last 5 to 10 years. And those people bailed on wrestling, and they're gone. So when CM Punk makes his return, most of them didn't say, oh, wow, let me go check that out. You know what I mean? Most people were just gone already. They're already lost. Wrestling is losing. We still don't have the guy. I talk about this all the time. There is nobody who is in the wrestling business right now that is getting new viewers. I don't know of that person. Roman Reigns is the only good thing I can say about Reigns is he's holding on to that to the viewership of the WWE that they already have, that casual viewership. And maybe they got a few from that Fox boost. But really, when you look at the numbers, nobody is moving that needle whatsoever. No one, not even the last person to do it. I mean, I think is John Cena. I mean, yeah, Daniel Bryan did, had a good reception from the audience that was already here. CM Punk had a good reception from the audience that was already here. Kofi Kingston had a good reception at one point during the WrestleMania push, but nobody has come in and busted that needle open to create 1, 2, 3 million viewers. No one's created those viewers.
Right. And, Brock Lesnar has the capability now to convince very casual wrestling fans to tune in. They, like he's enough where if he is announced and he shows up, he will generate 200,000 viewers. But, the point is, again, you even look at Rampage and you see how now, 20% ratings jump. Yeah, if Impact Wrestling gets 30,000 new viewers, oh my God, it's a 30% ratings jump. When the ratings are that low, that should say something. I mean, these numbers, and I brought this up before, CM Punk said something that is so buried right now, and it's the opposite of what Tony Khan said when he announced Rampage, because Tony Khan said with CM Punk's return and Rampage is that we want to, that we want to get that wrestling fan who fell out of favor of pro wrestling. We want them back. And CM Punk a little bit later on said he doesn't think that there's this group of people out there that, are wrestling fans and are going to come back. I've said this all along. Chances are, if you're a Ring of Honor fan, you're already an AEW fan. If you are a New Japan fan, you are already an AEW fan. And, already, Tony Khan has a major announcement next week. I don't give a fuck about announcements. I love good storylines. I mean, if I want to watch a random match to see two people beat the shit out of each other, there's thousands of matches for me to choose from. Samoa Joe versus Minoru Suzuki was fun yesterday. But when you watch enough Minoru Suzuki matches, you knew you were getting a chop fest. And every time that they hit a low yesterday and they're looking at each other and they're like, what the fuck we do next? Oh, chop, 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 chop. Yeah. This is epic, amazing, chop, chop. This is so much fun. This is what wrestling's all about. Yeah. I'm not crapping on the match. I loved it because I knew what I was going to see. But again, it was hyped up. I've said this repeatedly. I think what we have is Tony Khan, billionaire wrestling fan, and he is fulfilling his fantasies because his fantasy promotion was a combination of Ring of Honor and ECW. And now because he has this promotion, he is financially now able to buy his fantasies. When he was wearing a Bullet Club shirt going to Ring of Honor events, he envisioned, one day I'm going to own my own promotion and these guys are going to wrestle for me. That's why you have the Hardys committing suicide on ladders 3 weeks together. 3 weeks.
Hardy has risked his life 3 times on TV already. Yeah. It's crazy.
And this, so when you see Tony Khan making this amazing announcement last week on Rampage, I'm giving everybody a match that I've been dreaming about for years. And it lost viewers. I mean, that shows you this is Tony Khan fulfilling his fantasy, and he feels what he likes is what we should like.
Well, so there's a minority, right? There's a minority of people that love that match. And I respect it because I've been watching New Japan, here or there for a long time. But really, it wasn't until probably Wrestle Kingdom 8 or 7 or something that I started, really kind of paying a little bit of attention, right? And in the last 3 years, I haven't really watched it because it's just not really my thing as much anymore, right? And but I have people, you have people that watch your show, and I have people that watch my show that are like this, and it's a small portion of our viewership, I believe. I think 1/4 maybe. Are those very, and I love them, they're very nerdy about like booking and like every little minute thing in detail, and they're into the Japanese wrestling, but it's only 1/4 or 1 out of 10 people that love that Japanese or that booking or know the groups over there anymore and things like that. And so yes, he's booking for himself and he's booking for that crew, but that crew is small. I mean, that maybe is 200 or less thousand people in the whole U.S. Maybe I think it's 100,000 or 150,000 people. It's not a lot of people. How many people are watching Ring of Honor? Like if you said tomorrow, CM Punk is going to wrestle in the main event of Ring of Honor, I mean, how many people would tune in on a random channel that it wasn't established on AEW?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. And, I bring this up all the time too. A majority of everybody that I talk to that watches AEW also watches WWE. It is a very small group of people that only watch AEW and not WWE. So if you have 950,000 fans, how many of those 950 only watch AEW? The hardcore AEW fans will say, oh, I don't watch WWE. But meanwhile, they're commenting about every little thing that goes down on Raw and SmackDown. But, you know, this is why I say this 1,000 times over, Tony Khan, everyone out there that is creating this culture. And I guess we could segue to an anniversary. We'll get into a question. We'll talk about something. You know, you get more bees with honey. And this culture that, you know, you criticize people, you put people down, you label them as bots, trolls, haters, because they criticize something or they don't like something. You know, you're turning people off on your product. You know, if everybody felt like, you know, hey, I don't really like this, you know, but hey, I have the freedom to express my opinion and everybody respects it. Wow, this is a great, you know, environment to be around. And, you know, then, okay, I don't see what you see, but, you know, you welcome my opinion. I welcome yours. And then you start explaining to me why I should like this person. Pat McAfee was a great example. I despise Pat McAfee. And I had so many people on the channel like, no, DT, you got to
I love him. That's so crazy. Let's fight now.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of my favorites now. So,
yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. But, you know, I bring up ECW because Super Chat that came in. Well, actually, no, it wasn't a Super Chat. It was a question. We had a question come in from, I think it was Tommy. Memories of ECW Barely Legal turning 25.
Wow, I hate myself.
Yeah. Yesterday was the 25th anniversary of ECW Barely Legal, their first ever pay-per-view.
Wow.
And you know, I smacked myself because the other day when I was talking about coming up with the wrestling hotlines, I kept saying Uriel with the ECW hotline. Uriel did the bus trips. Tony Lewis did the strictly ECW hotline. But, you know, what some may not know out there is that I started my wrestling hotline about 2-3 weeks before ECW Barely Legal. And, you know, it's funny because when I had Jason on, Jason is, you know, the first person, you know, as far as having a guest on in all the years doing this, with the exception of
Cronin. I listened to you guys then, or a long time ago. Yeah, it was a while back.
Yeah, so Jason, when I had him on in February, that happened to be the 25th anniversary of ECW invading Raw. Now I have you on, and it's the 25th anniversary of their first pay-per-view. I got into doing a hotline because of Barely Legal. And I actually found, and I posted the video on Twitter early, I found my original VHS tape of me recording the pre-show that night, the event, everything. What's your memories of ECW 25 years ago?
So I remember vague things, and one of them is that I had a little, you know, I don't know, 18-inch or something TV in my bedroom, and had the VHS, the combo, you know, in it. And I would, at the time, it was hard to figure out when the TV show was going to be on. And I remember, you know, just trying to record all night long, hoping that I would catch it, because I don't know why. I think it changed times some nights and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't remember. I'm younger than you, I think, right? How much younger? I don't know how much younger I am. Have you ever disclosed your age to everybody?
Early 50s.
Yeah, see, so if you're like, I would have been a guy who would have been a mark for your reporting back then, you know what I mean? And any hotlines and things that you were doing, like, because, you know, I was probably I was 14 in 1997. So I do remember, I believe I ordered it that night because I remember wondering if it was going to work, right? Remember, like, and I remember feeling that it was exciting because you didn't know what was going to happen. They were hyping it up that way. Paul Heyman was in rare form. There had been so much build to it, and over the weeks, I had to borrow. If I missed something, I would have to borrow a VHS tape from somebody. Yeah. You know, it's like, hey, I've got them all on tape. I'll let you lend it to you or whatever. And this one I caught live, I believe. But after this, you know, it would be like my friend recorded it and bought it on pay-per-view. We'd have to figure out whose house we were going over. But this was big. I remember it was a huge mark for Rob Van Dam at the time. So this was I was so into Rob Van Dam. I was like, oh, he's like the Shawn Michaels of ECW. I used to say that stuff when I was 14, and so I remember being very excited for it, and I remember that I had to beg. I got it at the last second. I think I ordered it. I might have even ordered it and then gotten the permission from the parents, like from my mom.
Yeah, they started. I remember they started at 9 p.m. instead of 8 p.m. And they had a lot of problems because back then with Ultimate Fighting and a lot of areas being banned, they considered it almost like MMA. Like the cable channels did not want to carry this. I loved it. I mean, this was a culmination of just being a hardcore fan and wanting to see it go to the next level and finally getting it. Everybody personally, I think, was affected by it. Seeing my all-time favorite wrestler, Terry Funk, win the title, that was an emotional moment. And that obviously was, his thank you for bringing ECW on the map. The Taz Sabu storyline, before, they turned on Taz, it kind of fell flat because nobody wanted to see them handshake after the match was over. But, just to bring up what I was saying earlier about Tony Khan, what he misses the boat about, and a lot of the wrestlers, and I know a lot of wrestlers do it because they think they're pleasing Tony Khan, and they probably are. But back in ECW, when I used to go to Philly, I used to go to Elks Lodge, and you would have, people showing up that weren't regulars in the crowd. Everybody always welcomed everyone with open arms. Even if someone was not a hardcore ECW fan, hey, I just keep hearing this chant in other wrestling shows, what's this ECW? Everybody would be like, oh my God, come, check it out. Watch. I dated a girl at that time, and she was not a wrestling fan. But she'd watch a little bit of Monday Night Raw, and she's like, what's this ECW thing you keep talking about? And I'm like, oh my God, you got to watch this. Born to be Wired. Look at this, Sabu. Look. And she's like, but the point is, you got excited online. You see CM Punk using Ring of Honor music, and people are like, am I missing something with this music? And you're getting clowned. You're getting schooled, and you're getting schooled by people who did not know the answer either 5 minutes earlier, but they were smart enough to do a Google search before you did. And they're like, what, are you kidding me? How do you not know you claim you're a lifelong CM Punk fan and you don't know his Ring of Honor music? What the fuck is wrong with you? So it's AEW, you want to get a bigger audience, you have to welcome everybody. You can't make people feel like shit simply because they don't want to give you a 6-star rating for every little thing. That I guess we could segue to a super chat.
And, real quick, Vince doesn't do that. Think about that. And I like Tony Khan that he is fiery a little bit, but he needs like a reputation manager or somebody to filter it out. Like he filters out Max Caster's raps. He should filter out before he tweets. Yeah. Because although, I do respect somebody, because God knows I lose my Twitter account every other second. I need a reputation manager with the shit I say on whatever, but he tweets these things out, and he doesn't understand the psychology of how it affects many people. He may have a gotcha moment with some people who are scumbags, but the regular people it affects in a bad way too. So, I don't know. It'd be nice if he calmed it down a little bit for him, I think.
Yeah, I think, if everybody would just be neutral about it, and you see, even like a lot of WWE wrestlers, even when they're heels, you see all these little VHS tape moments where, someone will always take the time to pose with a kid or sign something or, tweet someone back, and they really work on that with that PR, this friendly atmosphere. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of friction online, and that friction is not helping them at all. But we had... Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was done. We're going to get the super chats there.
Oh, yeah. I just, Ronnie sent this in earlier. What were our thoughts on Marina Shafir versus Sky Blue on Dynamite yesterday? Because this was wild. Because, let me just set this up for everybody.
Yeah.
She's an MMA. She's MMA woman. So obviously she's working on trying to become a pro wrestler. She was in NXT, let go, obviously. And I saw both sides of it yesterday. I saw one side saying that this was horrendous. And then I saw the opposite side that said, oh, no, no, no. That's what an MMA person who wants to be a wrestler should be doing in the ring. So before I tell you my opinion on it, what did you think about what you saw in that ring yesterday?
So I'll tell you what, it's so divided that that was one of the matches that I paid the least amount of attention to. So, because I was doing something or whatever. So I went on, did the review, kind of grazed over it. I thought, I wasn't too impressed. I was impressed with her look. She had good physical attributes. She had some good looks. She had like good facial expressions and stuff. I bought that. I thought that was good. She looked tough. She looked like she could be menacing to Jade. But then I saw people completely destroying her and the both of them. And I said, wow, there's such a divide on this match. Let me watch it again. So I did watch it again. And I saw the parts that were horrific, not like that were just out of place. And I thought to myself, man, Jade is someone who was pretty green and is getting better and better. We're watching her sort of get a little bit better each week. She's still not there, but she's getting better. And I just felt that this girl, I was like, man, she's a mess. Like this is a mess. And I don't know I don't think either one of them was on the right page. Like I think they were both crossed up. They didn't have any chemistry. The one thing I'll say for her is I like that she quickly tried to recover when they made bad mistakes. The one thing I'll say is she tried to jump on her and she didn't act all awkward and back off and go, what are you doing? She got right on her to try something different when it didn't work. So I will give her that credit. So it was kind of a mess, but in the end she got through it, but it did not look good. And this, what is she called? Not the protege, the prospect, or she calls herself the problem. And I said, I tweeted out, the problem is you suck. But that's me. But she may get better, and Jade has gotten better, and certainly Trish Stratus, one of the best ever at going from not knowing anything to being very good. So I think she can be better, but I'm surprised that some of these people come out and do this in the ring. Like we're seeing this poor of an effort on TV where you're trying to attract new viewers. Somebody turning the channels who thinks, well, what is this? This isn't WWE. What is this? This is wrestling, though. Oh, it's fake stuff. Oh, look at how stupid that look. And they turn the channel right there.
Yeah. See, I feel especially since, Tony Khan with all the surprises and all the announcements, he does that obviously to try to get the extra viewers. And he has to do it in advance because the network doesn't want as many surprises. Because if you just surprise someone without announcing it's going to be a surprise, then a lot of people may miss it and like, I should have tuned in this week. So they don't like doing that. But you would think, especially since Dynamite, especially since what you're going to have close out Dynamite to try to attract that audience in India and to impress Discovery or whatever, you would think, you know what? Let me put Ruby Soho on TV. Let me put Tony Storm on TV. Let me put, two really, go to a safe match. Two women that can really do it in the ring and just throw that on there. The problem with the match yesterday, and I agree with you, Marina Shafir seemed to recover a lot better. She didn't get rattled by it. And one part of the match I will tell you I loved in a minute, but the problem is that Tony Khan doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings in AEW unless you tweet something afterwards, and then he becomes a dick. But
problem with that is you string them along like what's her name? I probably know who I'm thinking of. I can't. Swole.
Big Swole.
Swole is a great example of being too passive aggressive. Just tell somebody right off the bat, yeah, you're not good enough in the ring right now. That's it.
That's one of the things I always loved about Killer Cross before he even started to become a name. When people used to gush with him, oh my God, you got it. WWE's got to sign you. And by next year, you got to be on Mania. And he's like, fuck are these people talking about? Like, I'm nowhere near what I want to be. Like, some people don't want to hear that. Some people want the brutal honesty. And the problem is, He doesn't want to upset anybody. And I know there's a lot of AEW fans that like Sky Blue. But the problem with last night was, they had to have her have not only some offense, but she had to counter some things. And that's where the problem is. With Marina Shafir's mindset is, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this to squash her. And Sky Blue thinks, oh, I'm going to reverse this and turn this into this and this, even though it was dominated by Shafir. But sometimes, you got to keep the match completely one-sided. Sky showed nothing tonight. Shafir should have just beat the crap out of her. No reversals, no switch this, running again, because it exposes. It almost feels like, but I got to get my moves in. I got to get my moves in. Sky Blue, look, she's gonna dominate you tonight, but you could do this, and you could have no. Sometimes you got to say, look, you're losing in 60 seconds or 45 seconds. I loved the very end when Marina Shafir put her in the arm submission, and she's going like this, like tweaking it, because that gave me flashbacks of my grandfather, and I brought this up, and you're going to say, wow, your grandfather was a dick. My grandfather, I don't know if you've ever done this, all right, with your arms. I don't have muscles, but you take your arm, and if you take, if you have you do it with kids.
Let's go.
You do it with kids. Get comfortable. Take the shirt.
I'm going to go Ryback mode right now on you, Don Tony.
You see underneath this muscle right here, all right? Everyone out there, you take this, but you wrap your fingers around that muscle like this. And then what you got to do is you got to push underneath. I don't know if any of you out there ever did that to someone or do it to yourself, but if you push underneath that muscle, it freaking hurts. You got to go underneath. You got to go underneath, and you just push up like this, and it hits the nerves. It almost like with your funny bone. When I was a kid, my grandfather used to do that. Anthony Venica, you're getting strong. And he put, you're getting strong. And next time I'm like, ow! He would squeeze underneath my biceps. And that's how he would catch me every time. Come here, you're getting your. But that reminded me, because that's what my grandfather used to do. He used to torment me. He would hurt my arm. And then he'd be like, what? What's wrong? And he'd be squeezing and squeezing. I'm like, stop.
All grandfathers back then had the Vulcan neck pinch, but they could do it anywhere on your body if they wanted to.
Listen,
by the way,
why is this making me horny?
I love my grandfather, because when I got older, I would go up to my friends, hey, come here, I want to show you something. And I would just go like this, you dick. Problem is, I did it to people who could punch me out.
Right. Most of them were like, wow, they've never felt anything like that. And then some of them said, my grandfather touched me in a different spot. That's a cool story. I like that. My grandfather was probably he was too weak at the time for that.
All right. I'm sorry.
He's dead. No. But who did that to me, who destroyed me at one point, was Killer Kowalski.
Oh,
he goes, he was like, let me show you this. And I'm going to tell you, his hand went around I've never felt so tiny in all my, when I got to wrestling school, at his wrestling school back in the early 2000s, I just was humbled by my size. I was like, I will never, if it wasn't for Spike Dudley, I would have left right away, because Walter's hand is this just massive hand, and he had that touch. He could just take two fingers and make you squeal,
The burn.
It's a cool story.
The burn.
Yeah.
They would find a part of your body and just get it to the point of burning. And people don't understand, when you feel burning, that's like your body secreting things that it really shouldn't be secreting, because it thinks what the hell is going on here? Your body isn't just hanging out and laughing at you. So when you get those burns, that's not good.
This is the Stu Hart video from Beyond the Mat. Hey, come over here, you faggot leg. I'll put a goddamn move on you and break your damn neck. Remember that?
Get some discipline. Learn some discipline. Learn some discipline. You would just hear meat, as they say online, meat slapping meat. All you would hear is, get some discipline. Get some discipline. My hands are red.
Ooh. I know. There's some amazing stuff from Stu Hart. I love that video, man.
Casey is Raw. Much love.
Casey is Raw. He's a longtime guy.
Yes, good guy. You know, used to tune into all the OGs. You know, how do you feel online? Let me ask you this. There's no wrong answer here, but let me ask you this. Do you sense online this cool kids club when it comes to podcasts and journalists, that if you're not part of that cool kids club, you know, you could get shot on the corner tomorrow and nobody would even say to you, hey man, you know, get well?
Yeah, okay. I mean, so I've been through a lot of things and a lot of co-hosts and people that I thought were my friends that aren't anymore. And I seem to destroy every relationship almost. So I understand that. And also, you know, when I started, I did it for fun, you know, like you said, I turned down a radio job and I was like, I'll just do it, you know, on my YouTube. I'll just do the sports thing here. And, you know, started as a fun hobby side thing, then started as a fun hobby that became a part-time job because started making money from it. And then in 2017, when I got laid off of my job, I made this full time and my listeners just went nuts. And, you know, the Patreon, and I mean, I made 3 times the amount I ever made at a job. So this was the job. And over that time, yeah, you know, I mean, I was lucky to go to the Internet Darlings thing with Brian Zane invited me there. I don't think we still follow each other. I'm thankful that Brian Zane doesn't. I'm surprised that I'm not blocked by him because I feel like I'm somebody that's, you know, contradictory to many of his things. So yeah, there's a part of you that feels like, oh, I want to be part of this too. That's why when I come on here at the beginning, I think it's important to let people know, like, you know, Solomonster and you, coincidentally enough, you guys just did the podcast before this one. People should listen to it. Even when I was doing radio and doing TV stuff and doing other things on the internet, I wasn't focused on doing wrestling at the time. I made random videos where I ranted or I gave my opinion on some things, but I never had a straight up podcast or radio show or whatever until 2012 or 10. So you guys were people that I listened to. So I like to bring that up, that like, you know, these, you know, you guys were doing this originally before anybody. Like we're talking about back when, you know, there weren't podcasts, you know, really, or there was just uploaded audio or websites or whatever. And so, yeah, I think there's some names that are in this that are, you know, to me are the cool people, you know what I mean? And I think recently there's some newer people that have learned from all of us. You know, we've all learned from each other in some way or another. You know, I learned from you as like, this is the entertaining type of talk I like to listen to. So I would listen to you for years, off and on here or there. And, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it feels bad sometimes when certain people might leave you out of things or treat you a certain way, and you're like, oh man, I just want to be, you know, part of everything just like everybody else is. But I think everybody's you've definitely got that respect.
Yeah.
But I think that some people like you, you know, had to transition over to video finally, or to going live, to you know what I mean, to stay relevant to some of the newer people or the people that are on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because you had your core audience and a legendary audience and a huge history, but you're not new to this. You know, I heard someone the other day said to me they were younger, you know, and they were like, oh, I grew up listening to you or whatever. And I mentioned something about, you know, Don Tony, and they were like, what is that? You know, and I'm like, oh, it's, and I'm like, and the person didn't know who you are, but I'm like, this guy's been doing this forever. And he goes, oh, I've seen him before. Yeah, he just started going live, and I caught him once in a while. You know, I watch you first or whatever. And I said, yeah, but you don't understand. This guy's been doing this for way longer. He just finally transitioned a few years ago over to doing more live streams, but he's been doing this. He's just been on podcast only. So yeah, I think I guess I'll let you go and tell me what you think of all of that.
No, I agree 100%. To quote that older Raw, WWE Raw theme song, I just want to be loved.
Yeah, Papa Roach. Yeah.
Yeah, I just, you know, you'll get
that love from me for sure, man.
Yeah, no, you know, same here. Look, I mean, so everyone knows, you know, we were going to do this over a year ago. The two people that I felt bad the most was you and Johnny Candido, because when I first moved to video, you two were the first two that said, hey man, let's do something, you know. And honestly, for not having guests for all those years, with the exception of the Conan drive, you know, like I didn't I didn't think I was going to be able to do like an interview. And then I was like, I don't want to do an interview. I just want to just like do like a regular show and we just chat and wherever it goes, it goes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, let me get a little bit of time. Let me get used to this a little bit. Let me get a little comfortable. Let me get a little organized. And I said that to you and I said that to Johnny, and that was well over a year ago. So this was something that we were going to do a long time ago. And I basically, left both of you without a response. But
well, I'm pretty flaky, so I mean, like it's you combine the two of us with that, and that's what happens. But I'm very flaky. So
well, I definitely want to have you back to do a non-wrestling episode because I have eliminated. I mean, look, if questions come in and somebody makes an offer I can't refuse, aka super chat, of course I'll answer political stuff, but I used to be hardcore with politics and everything like that. And I didn't hire a PR person. I hired an I don't give a shit person. And basically I just became one of those that, look, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I did Patreon yesterday and I think it was Mish that asked me like, what do you think about what happened in the subway system? And like, doesn't surprise me. And he's like, what about the cameras not working? I'm like, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, this is New York.
Why did Virgil do it?
Yeah.
Why did Virgil do it? That's what I want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, right. He does. He looked like Virgil that went to too many Burger Kings.
Yeah.
But, I brought this up too yesterday. I could go out and buy myself a 9 or, get myself a couple of weapons and I could show up in my shopping center tomorrow, go into a place here and just start whaling people away. I mean, anybody could do it at any given time. And in New York, the number one problem is the lack of hope. And this number 2 problem is there's no deterrent in the legal system anymore. If I'm a criminal, I got my mind on my money and my money on my mind, and like, if I could figure out ways to do things and I know that I'll be out in a day or two, like, I don't give a shit about my criminal record. I'm not going for any jobs. My job is to steal from you. So
even the delusion that you could get away with it, even if you can't, just a little tiny bit of, there'll be a group that will come represent me. That's all I need.
Exactly. So when I see shit like that, I'm like, look, it's still better than the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s with all, the shit going down with crack. But the point is, well,
fentanyl soon taking care of that for you.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me when I see things like this happen. People see it from outside and they're shocked. Like,
you want to do Tinfoil Tony then, right? You want to do Tinfoil Tony?
Yeah, I'll do that.
And you want to do, because fentanyl, why is fentanyl killing so many people? And I think it's because the government now wants to sell you marijuana, so they got to scare the crap out of you out of the street stuff. How do you do that? You put poison in everything,
Yeah, it's a mess, but we definitely got to do a non-wrestling one. I mean, obviously tonight seems like everything is wrestling, and it's cool. It's cool. Believe it or not, we've already gone an hour, so time flies when you're having fun.
Well, you know what I like about you already with your audience at this point is you have 200 right now. It's like 252 people watching. And you get 233 likes. Like, I don't know what my audience hates the like button. If I had 250 people, there'd be 110 likes maybe.
I beg people to like it even before I go live, because there's many times I'll watch a live stream from my Roku, and I'm not hitting 6 different menus to get to the like button. Like, maybe if I remember, I'll do it the next day and stuff. So I ask people, look, if you're going to stop by, hit it before we even start. I know there's a lot of people out there that do that. Anything that I do, I get ideas from others. But, I always ask everyone, if you're enjoying it, hit that like button. A lot of people don't understand how much that actually helps with exposure. Little things like that, or even a comment. Tell me I suck, be interactive.
It really helped back in the day on YouTube, and then it didn't help at all. And then now it helps again. It's weird how the algorithm changes over the years. It's funny. You were talking about Barely Legal earlier, and it popped into my head. I just realized it, and I went to confirm it to make sure I was right. You remember in 1998 when there were videos of little video clips online, and they were very terrible, and they were like 10 seconds long or whatever. And the only thing I can describe them as is they didn't have GIFs back then, or GIFs or whatever. But we had these little pixelated videos that you could download, usually on websites, things like that. And the one that pops into my head is, because they were like GIFs, because the videos were huge, right? So they were tiny, compressed, but even to download a 10-second pixelated video took 10 minutes or whatever. Was Terry Funk, I believe. If this is the same pay-per-view, I think it was Barely Legal 97, where he did the moonsault off the ladder and hit Steven Richards, and he kind of like whatever. But Steven sold it like he got compressed down into the ring, and I watched that clip over and over again, like thousands of times, to the point where when I watch it now or see it now, like I can picture my Dell, like, or Gateway computer rather, 1998.
No joke.
So
I can't show the screenshot tonight, but maybe next week, just for the goof, everyone get a good laugh out of it. I still have my old website on a storage server online.
Oh, that's awesome.
If I show this, if I share my screen, I still have RAM files, real media files that you would click. It would be real player, and it would be a .ram, and you click on that, and RAM would be a text file, and in the text file would be the actual link for the media, and you would embed it in there. So when somebody wanted to show a video clip, but you didn't want anybody to download your shit, you would put it in a RAM format, and for some reason, and then they, obviously technology changed.
It's just funny. I love that they're real player. And microphones too. You've got I don't have it anymore because I busted it, but RE20, it's the best microphone ever. That's my favorite microphone since I was a little kid. So Don Tony's got the right mic.
I had a Heil PR40 to start. I got rid of that. I gave it to somebody. I don't even know who I gave it to. I got this one. I enjoy it. And my other place, I have the Rodecaster Pro.
Oh yeah.
But their mic, but it's okay. But this mic, I like it. The only thing I'm worried about, I know it's got the pop filter, but I could only imagine how much spit and bad breath and everything that's inside that there's no way to clean it. Right. So I don't know how many years you could go with it until it's like, okay, maybe I should buy it on Amazon, and you buy it with a damaged box, so you still got a brand new mic in there. And then when you get the Amazon, you switch it. You put the old one back, and you're like, look, I changed my mind. I got brand new air filters. I got a brand new computer monitor. You just keep it in good enough condition, and you got to buy a damaged box. But as long as the item inside is brand new, you just unscrew the old one, you put it in a box, you send it back to Amazon.
I keep getting sick. Oh, there's mold in the microphone for me. I mean, look at this one. I recommend this one too. It's a little bit less. It's BP40 Audio Technica. It's a great substitute for the Shure and the RE20. But you can see the dent on it. Because on my show, I get a little whacked out. So I'm repairing. I'm at the point right now where I've busted all, like, so many microphones that I've got a soldering gun, and I'm taking them apart and fixing them.
In a perfect world, soon I want to go on Amazon, buy another one of these with a damaged box. And then I'm going to put this one and send it back to Amazon. And then I want one of those asshole podcasters online to go on Amazon and then tell the world, hey, everybody, I just bought this microphone on Amazon, damaged box. But meanwhile, it's my old microphone with my breath and my smell. And I want them to do a show and say, why does this smell like Italian? It just smells like Italian breath. So that's the perfect world. That's the perfect world.
I'm trying to think of who the people should receive it are. I hope Ryback.
What the hell is this microphone?
Ryback, I hope you get it. Speaking of buying fake bots.
Yeah, I thank God I don't have any heat with anybody right now online. I mean, you got some two-faced people, they smile to your face and they talk shit behind your back. But, I almost take that as like a badge of honor. I'm like,
Does Jim Cornette hate you like he hates me, or?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, look, I used to hate Cornette. I never really liked Brian Last. And then for some reason, about maybe 9 months ago, I don't even remember what the conversation was, but I was like, that does make sense. And now I tune into their stuff every week.
Oh, yeah.
I don't agree with everything, but I love them both.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't agree with everything, and certainly Jim Cornette's trashed me to hell, but I love him. trash me away, man. If you could go back in time and say, hey, someday, you'll get to meet him, you'll do a podcast with him, and then eventually he's going to talk shit about you. I mean, I would have been, hell yeah, that's great. This is great.
Yep. Liam Savage, a little feedback from before. Tony Khan needs to stop saying there's an announcement. Let's have surprises like the old days. That'll attract more viewers. They won't know what to expect.
I mean, this is like the lights going out. You know what I mean? Like a million lights going out, a million announcements. I mean, listen, I appreciate what he's trying to do, and I do like a lot of it. But I would obviously we're all, I think, gonna agree that at some point it's the boy who cried wolf situation, and it's not good. It's gonna ruin those surprises.
Yeah,
too many.
Yeah, one more King of Games. Who do we both feel should be the one to beat Hangman Page for the AEW title?
That's
a good one.
It's probably gonna. Oh, this is a hard one because he's a face, and there's so many. CM Punk is announcing that he's going after it, so he seems like he's in line at some point here. So we're really gonna get, two baby faces against each other. Will Hangman turn? I mean, I think Hangman needs to turn because he stinks as a face to me. Like he comes out there and is like, hey, what's up, everybody? Unless he says cowboy shit, like there's really nothing. He's pretty good. I like him a little bit, but he reminds me of Shawn Michaels when Shawn Michaels was a face, the boyhood dream. Now, I was a younger kid, so I loved everything Shawn Michaels did, but if I was an older guy, I might have thought it was a bit lame. By the way, everybody, drop them super chats right now.
Yes, shout out to Drew Ball 100. Much love.
Oh, there you go. All the JCS people are here. The villain, Drew Bar. I mean, we have a lot of crossover audience too, though.
Yes, actually. And, I told Joe earlier, any super chats that come in, like Bill Alfonso used to say, right down the middle. So, right down the middle.
Take the 30% that Google's going to take from you out of it, though.
Yeah, well, you know what? I made the mistake with Jason. I'm not going to lie. I forgot to deduct the 30%. So I ended up with almost nothing. But you know what? I had a blast.
Think about this.
That's all that matters.
Think about this. 20% to taxes, 30% to Google. You're actually getting 50% of super chats. So
you know what? I don't want to be a jerk right now, but if anybody out there that is and is going to be an aspiring podcaster or wants to set up a Patreon, I want people to understand this. My Patreon is nowhere near the size it used to be. Everybody has a Patreon. I understand, some people have to rotate, who they subscribe to. But once in a while, I'll get thrown in my face like, I've been a Patreon of yours for a year. And, they'll throw in my face. And I appreciate like $5 or even $10. But when you realize that you have to take, a certain percentage, or Patreon takes a certain percentage of it out, or even YouTube, you take, 30% out, and then taxes, you got to take another 20-30% out, especially if you generate more income than others. And then you have to divvy it up to others. And then you have expenses for a website, expenses for a server, expenses for internet, expenses for this, expenses for everything. I tell that person, you know what, keep your 31 cents. And the person says to me, no, I give you $5. What do you mean 31 cents? And then I break it down and I say, look, I don't mean to be a dick, but if you're going to throw in my face that, hey, I gave you $5, well, guess what? I get 31 fucking cents out of it. So don't, I don't need anybody's that much, but I always feel that you always got to give more. You always want, I'm one of those, like if you order something like a hot dog from me, I got to put, hey, you want some, sauerkraut, you want some cheese, you want some bacon? No. I just want to plain. How much is that? Don't worry about it. I always want to give you a little more.
My wife is always on this because I'm a big tipper. And I think it's because my mother said this too. And my wife, she'll be like, what are you doing? I'm like, listen, I live off tips. You know what I mean? Like when I got released, what am I, a wrestler? when I got laid off my job in 2017, I mean, man, we hit like 450 patrons and like, it was nuts. You know what I mean? Like, hell, I did so bad. I owe the IRS like $60K right now. It's crazy. But I was so well off, 4 years where I didn't have to work a regular job. 4 years I just did this. So, and now I'm back to working a job again. So, you appreciate that time, but it's just like, that's why I tip people when I order food and someone delivers, especially during the pandemic, you know what I mean? if I order food, like I tip the guy $10 to $15, and my wife's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, it's a pandemic. This guy just brought us food." You know, I don't know. Like, it's just the way that and I think a lot of the listeners are like this too, because when you enjoy something, you support the hell out of it. And these people are amazing sometimes with how much they will support what they love. And I get it, because I support the people that I watch too. So yeah, man, I thank you guys for that, and we love you. And become a patron of Don Tony if you're not, and check out mine. Check out everything. Mine's a little over the top, but we'll see. We're still on there right now.
It's all good. It's all good. So getting back to Hangman Page for the belt.
Yeah, what do you think about that? HBK a little too. I think he needs that heel turn. He needs that big heel turn.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't buy that 2-year storyline bullshit. The pandemic is why that went that long. Hangman Page is a good guy. And he's got high morals outside of wrestling as well. But like I said, AEW likes to incorporate the two. And, my favorite Hangman Page so far in AEW, we never got to see. Right before the pandemic, when he was showing the crazy eyes and teasing that he was going to hit Omega. That's the Hangman Page I want. That's the Hangman Page we need. Him, and cowboy shit. It's like, then he finds his groove. But I'm with you. I think, but the funny thing is, I think if Hangman Page and CM Punk go at it, I think CM Punk could end up being the heel of this. As much as AEW fans love CM Punk, it was not too long ago, even when, yes, New York is a little weird, but when they came to New York, MJF was a babyface. They shit all over CM Punk. So I think AEW fans, if they had to decide, they may take the side of Page, but I think realistically, it's either going to be CM Punk or Bryan Danielson if Jon Moxley leaves. I'm not going to be one of those to start teasing the Moxley situation.
Moxley leaving.
Yeah, but his contract is coming up. And, I know people who tune in every week will get angry when I say this because I mentioned it so many times. But last year I said countless times, 2022 will be remembered as the year of the contract, because that's when you're going to see some people leave AEW. I didn't know who, but that's when you're going to see some people leave AEW. People are going to realize that AEW is just a business like any other wrestling promotion. And you're going to see people, that a lot of fans, the majority of fans, still don't understand what an AEW contract is and is not. And I brought this up last week when Tony Khan last week said, how could any wrestling company let go people like Swerve Scott and Keith Lee? And, it sounds like, hey, Tony Khan makes a point. Makes sense. But what a lot of people don't understand is that if he's throwing shade at WWE, like, how could you let these two guys go? Well, people need to understand that when Swerve Scott and Keith Lee both signed with AEW, they took a fraction of what they made in WWE. And the reason why a lot of these wrestlers take a fraction of what they were making in WWE is because the selling point is, look, you want to stream Twitch? Go right ahead. You want a game? Go right ahead. You want to sell, your own stuff, cameos? Go right ahead. We don't want any of it. So when you say, okay, I'm only making a third of what I made in WWE, but I could Twitch, I could game, I could cameo, I could this, I could that, and it makes up for a good portion of that, and I don't have the WWE schedule, that is enticing. But in a case of somebody like Cody Rhodes or Jon Moxley or Chris Jericho and some other wrestlers out there, no, I don't want a game. No. I don't want to work, pro wrestling hick. I don't want to work here. I just want, one employer, just one opportunity. So when WWE turns around and says, look, oh, Moxley, whatever you're making in AEW, we'll triple it. I mean, you got a wife and you got a kid, what do you think? That, but the internet is going to shit all over me and call me a hypocrite. You think Moxley gives a shit about that? Moxley cares about his wife and his kid and himself and his inner circle. And anybody could leave. So when Tony Khan says that about Swerve and Keith Lee, well, that's because the contracts are so completely different. So if Moxley were to leave as much as they're trying to make Yuta, this next Blackpool, whatever, what are you going to do? You're going to have Bryan Danielson, be like the leader, and you could have some undercard come to him as well. We have tons of factions in AEW already that do that. Matt Hardy had Private Party. Matt Hardy had this. Matt Hardy had that. A lot of wrestlers that are veterans had people under their wing. And somebody pointed out that I think Private Party hasn't won a match on TV in 2.5 years.
They have taken such a step back. They don't understand. Like there's a difference between getting the rub with somebody and then somebody. This is a whole nother thing. Like these guys are shadowed at this point because of that. And also, this is what happened with Jericho and MJF. And I like Jericho and MJF's comedy, but Jericho turns so many things into comedy that MJF actually took a step back. He did some quality comedy with Jericho, but once he got away from that again, he got back to being a guy who feels like the top thing. But before, he felt like a sideshow funny comedy act, which was good, but not on the level of the MJF that we know now. And same thing with Private Party with Matt Hardy. That whole thing, I mean, those guys are going to have ladder matches that are epic with the Hardys to put them back on the map, to get them built up to where they used to be when they weren't with Matt Hardy ever. So, no, you're dead right about that. And Yuta, just because you have a match with a guy and he bleeds on the air, people are like, oh, he's made now. He's so made or whatever. I'm like, why? Because he's bleeding everywhere in this, and I get it. The match was nice. It was good. It was fun. I liked it. But, have some matches that building up to that, and then have some matches with, for a title, where you win the TNT championship in a ladder match or something, and that to me makes somebody, just because you said so, and, he's bleeding and now he joined a faction. I mean, I don't quite get that. I like him, but he's not made to me. He's not the next thing, until he strings together some matches.
Yeah. Chase Weatherwalks, I'm not saying this to disrespect you, but I don't know how Joe feels about this comment. He says Moxley is not going back to WWE. He was so handcuffed there. He's happy with the money as long as he could be him again. But the thing is, when you say handcuffed, you're talking about handcuffed creatively. Moxley, when he wrote that book, there was still a lot more deep animosity with WWE. When Moxley wrote that book, that was before he had his kid. When Moxley gets older, your priorities change. And the thing is that if WWE offers him twice of what he was making before, and he's got a lighter schedule, you, me, anybody out there, we cannot speak for Moxley. You don't know what he's thinking. You don't know what he's talking to his wife about. If, I don't care what he has said in interviews. I don't care what he wrote in the book. If he creatively, then he would be more content being on the indies, doing some AEW, making far less of what he can make in WWE. The point is, we should never speak for a wrestler when it's time to make a decision.
Cody going there. Right there. Cody going there tells you anything's possible now. Anything's on the table. That's it. Cody's the example. One of the biggest guys went there. That's why you mentioned this earlier. That's huge. The Cody is the first one to jump ship. He's the biggest, almost the biggest guy that could have done it. That opens the door now for anybody and everybody. It also signals to all of them that that's the case. That's why Tony Khan should be very upset and worried about this, because now the pendulum is swinging the other way. And while I agree with what you're saying and everybody else, Jon Moxley happy doing his thing, and it's 50-50. If he's happy still doing his thing, then he'll do that. But I'm 50-50 on whether he'll come back.
Yeah.
And 50-50.
I mean, look, if he's offered enough money and they give him a lighter schedule and, they promise him certain things, one thing I think we all...
He's got the negotiating power again. That's a great point.
Yeah. He's happy right now and he's content, but again, he's got a family and he's got their future to think about also. And there's got to be a balance there. And you're absolutely right. That is the number one point out of all of this. It's the negotiating power. Why? Look at Jericho. A year ago, everybody was making fun of his physique. Everybody was saying that it feels like Jericho's in a midlife crisis right now. Now he's arguably the best he has looked in 10 years. And he still has a lot of life left in him. He probably has a lot more leverage now to possibly go back to WWE than he did maybe a year or two ago. Same thing with Cody Rhodes. Same thing for some other wrestlers out there.
Remember what Jericho said when he got to AEW? He said that if Vince knew what I was going to get over there, he might have made me a different offer. So now the only thing is Jon Moxley is getting what, $6 million from AEW, but let's say Tony Khan goes, we've looked at the books and everything, we'd like to offer you a new contract. You know, what if it's for less? What if it's $3 million? Well, I mean, he can go to WWE and say, I only want to work 2 times a week and I want $6 million and I'll sign. You know, I mean, it's not that hard to figure out that he now the pendulum is swinging the other way, and it's up to the WWE to bring back whoever they want to bring back. And so, like you just said, you nailed it, that these guys now have the negotiating power they did not have before.
Yeah. And one other thing, Chase says, you know, if they offer him the money, and, you know, it seemed like he wasn't happy at all after the Brock match. But, you know, look at Brock. I mean, you know, Brock is still, look, it's a job. I get paid. I go home. That's all I care about. But now it feels, the perception is that Brock seems like he's having the time of his life doing what he's doing right now. You know, the thing again with especially with the Moxley, and this is something else everybody needs to remember, you know, when they signed Moxley, this was before they signed Bryan Danielson, William Regal, Adam Cole, some of the other stars that they have. I mean, you go down the list, you know, you try to guess how much these people are made. I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars that have been spent on other people since they have signed Moxley. So Moxley was a big fish in a small pond in AEW 2 years ago. That pond is now gigantic. And that's why, you know, look, we said it about Toni Storm. She had that match. Everybody made a big deal. And I said, all right, everybody, let's see how many matches she has a month from now that is not on Dark or Elevation against Lisa Lips or Maria Makeup. You know, like, I want to see how many times she's on primetime television fighting established women and then boosting up the record that way. Oh, Jay Lethal's on TV 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, he's cutting promos. Is he wrestling? Is he doing anything? I mean, it's all about perception. Look at Tony Nese. Remember the reports? Tony Nese is very unhappy in AEW, and then they gave him that main event match on Rampage, almost like putting a nipple in his mouth. Okay, you know, we're going to main event you on Rampage. That was the last time he was on TV. Now he's going to lose to Hook. You know, you think this is what Tony Nese was thinking when he signed with them? So right now, Tony Khan is the wrestling world's greatest juggler, because he is juggling people so, you know, like, carelessly, but he has found ways that, oh, if they cut a promo, look at Andrade last year. Andrade had 3 matches on, I think, Dynamite, Rampage, 3. I mean, I don't think people realize, you know, what they, and again, Private Party hasn't won a match on TV in over 2 years, I think, or
he knows how to bring them in. He brings them in with fire, but after that, you don't know what's going to happen after that, you know?
Yeah, like I said, look at Ruby Soho.
I can't believe that. That is what? Like, and I'm not even like the biggest fan of her, but I mean, like, she, to me, right away, she's one of the top 5 women to me, bringing her in. And where is she?
Look at Britt Baker. She was injured. Yeah, Britt Baker deserved a little bit of a break. I get that. But look at Thunder Rosa. She's the champ now for how long? And what has really gone down? You know, setting up a match with Nyla Rose for this Saturday, which we all know what the outcome is going to be. And the next thing you know, Thunder Rosa is a champion for 2 months. And then people say, well, no, she's 6-0. And then you look at it, oh, she wrestled Pamela piercings. You know, it's like, come on. You know, it's, and yesterday, you mean to tell me with 2 hours of Dynamite, again, the best women's match you could come up with was Marina Shafir and Sky Blue? You know, when you really think about it, I mean,
that's a Rampage match or a Dark or an opening, maybe, you know. Yeah, it's shocking. And, you know, the thing with Thunder Rosa, what did you think the other day? Because Nyla Rose gets the cake shoved in her face, can't see, and then she hits Vicky Guerrero, which is funny. I actually laughed at that part. But then right after that, she beats up Thunder Rosa, but she's blind. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, she's blind. What?
And not only that, but Toni Storm gets cake in her face on SmackDown, and it's god-awful, pathetic. No wonder why she quit. I don't blame her to quit. Let her leave. Let her this, let her that. You know, it's just, it's perception of how people see certain things. You know, yeah, it's a weird dynamic. But Herbert Doherty, thank you very much, my friend. Much love. Once again, who's this? The ghost from, I got to pull his name up.
That's
the ghost from the coast.
Another JCS sexy pants.
Ghost from the coast. I love it. I love it. All right. The villain. What are our thoughts on WWE unifying the tag titles? Will it improve the division or hurt it?
It'll improve it. Those two titles are ridiculous. There's too many belts. The number one thing, too many belts. Yep, they need to unify the tag titles. We've probably all said this for years. United States title and IC belt, obviously they need to get rid of one of those because they can't. I mean, we could handle booking those, but they can't even handle one of them. So, yeah, unify them all day.
Yeah, I mean, it'll improve the division, absolutely.
A little bit.
But it's going to hurt opportunity. I said this about the heavyweight title. You know, the storyline, it obviously was very big for WrestleMania, and it'll last a few months. But, you know, when you look at Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, and a few others, they lost one opportunity to break through and become heavyweight champion again when you only have one title. That's why them having both belts still draped on Roman Reigns is awesome, because we know we're going to ultimately have two champions again. As far as the tag titles, I said this last week, this is a Band-Aid being put on a gash right now, that you look at the tag team division and suddenly it is pathetic for WWE. That's why you have to, we joked right at Mania, like, are we going to still get an Alpha Academy versus RK Bro matches? They're good, but if you've seen one, you've seen them all. So if you unify those titles, of course, it'll make the division better, but Alpha Academy, you think they're going to overcome the Usos or someone else and be the only champions? You have to have two sets of titles if you are going to give opportunity for those people that are one step below, but hey, giving them that other heavyweight championship, or as Roman Reigns say, the other title, the secondary title, you know, yeah, that secondary title is there for a Bobby Lashley or a Drew McIntyre. Yes, Brock had it for a little while, but it's good for the storyline and division, but it dramatically hurts opportunity, because right now you probably would only have one or two tag teams on WWE that would hold the singular titles. And that means, forget Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza breaking through for those belts. The Viking Raiders, whatever you do with them, they ain't breaking through. Gunther,
how many tag team champions? How many tag team teams we got?
Not too many. Not too many.
Right,
I mean,
so that's why, you know, it does hurt opportunity, but what opportunity can you have if you only have 8 tag teams? I mean, so there's 4 tag teams on each show and somebody's a champion. I mean, it just doesn't seem that important, but
yeah,
you know, at that point.
We got a good one from Chris Cuttra. I know you sent this in before we were live. He can't be here live tonight, but with Wes Lee seemingly now in limbo in NXT because of what happened with Nash Carter's exit, what do we think about putting Wes, maybe even with the New Day, on SmackDown? He complements their style and would freshen them up.
The New Day with who?
With Wes Lee, you know, MSK.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, because he needs a friend now. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I mean, why not? Give him some. I mean, they need a third guy. They did this before with who was it? Was it Kevin Owens that
they had Riddle, like teasing Riddle a little bit? I think, you know, I think
it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, because you look like, okay, I could see maybe him and Ricochet teaming up and doing some magic. I don't know who else on the NXT roster he could team up with? Could he be the next Ricochet as far as like that singles baby face that's high flyer that, you know, the crowd will love? That could be. I don't know. I would not be surprised if he came to the main roster and they changed his name because of the MSK history, because they were so angry with Nash Carter and disappointed that they couldn't even mention the letters MSK on their website or on NXT the last week. All they said was that the tag team titles have been vacant or surrendered.
What do you think they're most angry about? You think they're actually, do you think it's that he didn't recall the controversial photos or whatever? He probably didn't even remember it, but do you think it's that he didn't tell them, or do you think it's that it happened at all, or you think they're actually angry at him? Like, I wonder.
It's the Nazi picture, especially in the midst of the whole Gunther fiasco, and then people trying to create a fiasco with Ludwig, even though they didn't go with the name that they were going to go with.
Bad timing.
There's more than one photo. We've only seen the one that was public. The person that I talked to that I kind of trust with this, that apparently, you know, that he filed for divorce against Kimberly. And I think Kimberly's attorney told her the best thing for her to do is take her account offline right now for her mental health and for other reasons. But apparently she's got a lot more ammo. And like I've said before, I don't know how you can date or be married to someone who, in the back of their mind, because that picture is not a year old, the Nazi picture, that is many years old.
Yeah, and he's young.
Yeah, and to save that for a rainy day, I mean, that is just, what kind of relationship were they in? I mean, were they, I don't know, but apparently there's more. And
oh my God.
Yeah, they just,
when you're scorned. When you're scorned now, you're empowered by all these things like that we weren't years ago. We know the story now. Yeah. I mean, you know, and whether he did something bad or not, it's the idea that people are waiting, you know, to use something against you. You know, what was he shaving? And he all of a sudden was like, "Oh, it's funny. I look like Hitler." Oh, he made a funny thing, and then next thing you know, you're fired from your dream because of that fleeting joke that you made. You know, it looks bad to some people, obviously, and if he was, you know, if you release a photo where you're talking about like, "Oh, I love Hitler," and like, let me show it's his birthday today, and you were being serious, obviously you'd want to fire a guy like that. But, you know, if you dug into anybody's past, you know, you're going to find these type of things that are going to offend somebody somewhere. Certainly me, I can't work anywhere, but you know, it's like, so I feel bad, but you know, I don't know. These people got to be careful.
Yeah. And she's pissed. That was the tipping point.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have any Nazi photos. That's the good thing for me.
Me neither. I mean,
those don't exist. Not yet.
I mean, I've had some form of a mustache since I was my 20s, teenagers actually. But even if I were to shave it off, like I wouldn't like go halfway and like turn my hair sideways and, you know, do this and symbol. And then the best part is take a picture. Why? You're like, it's and to hold it all these years. That's the crazy thing about it all. Like I'm getting married in September. And if my fiance had like goofy pictures of me in compromising positions that would get me in trouble, and she kept it just stored, oh, I had no idea I still had it, you know, no, the fucking marriage ain't happening. Like the fact that she had this shit on a hard drive saved and was released it soon as she found her moment, man, that's just, but well, we'll see what happens.
I hope your ass pics get released, Kimberly. How about that?
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. It's sad. It's very, very sad. So, all right.
I hope he retaliates. Come on. Come on. We got to hope for the retaliation. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, as long as he didn't do anything to her, really, like, if he did, obviously, if he did something terrible to her, then whatever, that's not good, then no. But if she is kind of embellishing, which I don't know, we'll find out. I hope it goes to court. That's what I hope. When these accusations happen, I don't blindly believe everybody, but I don't deny them either. Hey, I hope it goes to court and the truth comes out, and somebody, if she lied, I hope she gets in trouble. And if she's telling the truth, I hope,
well, that's
if it's in the middle.
Yeah, that's the thing that she's got to worry about. That's the thing that a lawyer, apparently told her. Like, of course, a scorned woman, is definitely dangerous, but, she starts throwing all these darts online. He got fired. And now he could have a stronger case in court that, not only, are we breaking up? Not only do I want a divorce, but he could sue her just like a wrestler that tried to sue Impact or someone else. Like, look, because of Joey Ryan, because of these people, I lost my livelihood. I lost my income. And technically, she caused him to lose his income. He can sue her because of that. And the lawyers basically told her, look, stop fucking posting stuff online. I don't care how much you hate this person. You show it in court. You build the history in court that this person was a bad person and did this, and that. Putting it online and getting the satisfaction that he's fired from WWE, no indie promotion wants to bring him. No, he's out of a job. If he goes to work at 7-Eleven, that's grounds for him to sue her even more. So, this
is a slander case that's adding up. I mean, Enzo should have sued. He didn't. That woman. I don't know what that was about, why he didn't. That woman's story, the redhead, whatever her name is, she was on like fentanyl, almost died a little after. But her story about her ex-boyfriend was the exact story she told about how Enzo, what he did to her. I think something did happen to that girl, but I think she seemingly passed it off to everybody. So he never sued anything. And, maybe he felt bad that she's something mental. So he was just like, I'll just walk away or whatever.
Yeah.
Or he knew he was going to be fired anyway, but.
Yeah, Enzo's entire lifestyle at the time is what did him in.
Right.
It's, that behavior that is contradictory of WWE standards. I know it sounds, ridiculous, but yeah, there's that image, that PR image that WWE insists on. And Enzo's whole lifestyle at that time, I don't agree with it. I'm with you. They should not have fired him. At minimum, you keep him, suspended indefinitely.
One thing you can say about Tony Khan is at least he keeps Max Caster off the air for a couple of weeks while he figures out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And some people called him out for that, called him a coward, called Tony Khan a flip-flopper on his own guy. But, WWE would have just released the guy. Yeah. So I give Tony Khan credit that he at least, all right, put the pause button on, figure out what's going on. All right, listen, all right, you're back out there. And with me and you, I think that's respectable. But what Tony Khan doesn't understand, going back to him, is that he's kind of emboldened this sort of woke crowd, or I'm going to do the right thing type of thing. And so when he doesn't do that, he does the right thing for me and you and what I believe normal people feel, but it's not enough for the woke mob. And he gets attacked for bringing back Max Caster and those things, and he's surprised and doesn't understand. And it's like, you don't understand, when you play to that crowd, you also get bitten by that crowd too.
Yeah. Happened in the Me Too movement. It happened with a lot of movements. You start, because there's always going to be some people who are going to take advantage, and then you're going to have some people claim to be the victim when they're not. Then you're going to have some people who you are certain is not guilty of, that type of, allegations. And then you find out it is, and then you made a commitment, and it's like, okay, now what do we do? So, look, even the Sammy Guevara stuff, when he said the things about Sasha, I mean, they took him off TV. He went to counseling. He was very sincere with his apologies. I mean, and I think they did the right thing. At the end of the day, though, you realize that, like, I remember, as a teenager, being infatuated with certain women in Hollywood or certain performers. And I don't ever recall saying to my friends, hey, man, I'd love to just and use the R word, like, I'd be like, oh man, I'd love to, get a piece of that. But to turn around and say, oh man, I'd love to sexually assault, like, who even talks like that? I mean, I don't even know people in the hood that talk like that.
I do get that part. Like, I understand what he was saying, because that is, that's up my alley with my type of vulgarity that I would say, like, God rape, but I wouldn't, if I'm a wrestler and I'm him and I'm in the company and in the wrestling companies and I'm wrestling and I'm in those circles, I'm not going to talk about how I creeped out Sasha Banks and I wanted to just, do that. I mean, you would use different language because she's a coworker of yours. Yeah. So you would know to say, like, man, I saw her. Yeah, she was like gorgeous at the training facility. She's amazing.
And to do to her.
Yeah, even saying that nowadays is like, that's like some kind of like sexual micro threat aggression or something. But I totally get it. He was on Kevin's show and he was like, I'm going to say some crazy shit. But you're in the business. You're actually getting to go there, and you said that. And like, I don't know. I mean, like, my thing is, I've said so much stuff, that even Road Dogg, has said to me and stuff like that. He's like, hey, you said this, that wasn't very good. I had to figure out how to, get past that with other people. So I've said stuff that has been a detriment to me before ever being somewhere. But if I was ever, actually there and currently working, like, I would be like, oh shit, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that, something crazy. But he was young too, man. I mean, like, I'm saying appropriate stuff at 30 and stuff that messed up some of my gigs at 31 and 32. And so imagine Sammy Guevara. What was he, 19?
Yeah,
20?
well, that's the thing. That's the thing with you, with Sammy, with me, anyone out there, whether you're, whoever you are, time does show people that you grow up. I mean, you may have said some outrageous things younger. I said outrageous things younger. Other people have said outrageous things when they were younger. But you're not just making a statement. By you being out there every single week and people see you, and they don't just, it's not just what's perceived on Twitter. It's not a fake persona. When they see how you act, how you react, what you say, your views. So you have that built track record, as does Sammy. Sammy, there is no signs. I mean, people even want to use this, and I know this is going to piss off some people. You could even say that about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, there is no sign that there's ever been any type of talk or any attitude like that since. I will always criticize Hogan for never doing any speaking engagements because he didn't want to, deal with people, and maybe criticizing him. But, as time goes by, you prove just by everyday stuff that, hey, okay, I said something stupid when I was younger. I tried to be a little bit over the top. I tried to be a little bit controversial. But, as time goes by, I realize I shouldn't have said it. And your time backs that up.
But you also just sort of proved the problem. And that's the problem, is that you have a tiny pocket of people that know who you really are, or that think they know who you really are. But it's all those other people that have never heard of you before. You know what I mean? Like, when I've said some crazy stuff in the past, and I can't tell you how many people came to my defense and said, like, oh no, this guy's not like that. But the other people don't know that. And so they just think, oh, this person, whatever. So yeah, that's the problem, is that what it looks like to the outside people. Exactly. And since those people are the mob rule, and Hogan was weird because that was, every wrestler most people that we know, have said, like, Hogan was great to me, and I'm black, I was a black guy, but Hogan's was weird because it was in private. And I get, he shouldn't have leaked out, shouldn't have been recorded, and maybe he was angry at the time, but his was weirder because it's in private. Whereas Sammy Guevara, he said that publicly, and some people will say, oh, if he says that in public, imagine what he says in private. Right. I think it's the opposite. I don't think that way, because the worst things that I've said on the show, I've never come close to in private. I say the worst stuff publicly, which is weird. Yeah. But so when I hear a private conversation that someone didn't expect to come out, and they're saying certain little things like that, I go, oh, that's bizarre. What is that person like then?
Somebody that's trying to be hip and funny and cool and using words they don't normally use, and they don't realize, because they don't actually think that way, they don't realize how bad what they said.
Right. And that's Sammy. The thing. Exactly. And with Sammy, it's like, I don't, maybe he, that was locker room talk that he probably does say. Locker room, we all have said crazy shit. I've been in hockey locker rooms. I can't believe some of the dudes, man. Half these guys are married, and they're talking about their wives, like, I cheated on it last week with it. And you're like, holy crap. This friggin' locker room's crazy. These guys are nuts. They're like 40 and they're like, oh, I cheat on her every week.
Yeah.
Like,
crazy. All right, we're going to get into some questions that were sent in advance. For anybody that we don't get into, do not take it the wrong way. We can only answer a certain amount. But
we'll do it again, I promise.
Yeah, we have a few. But this one, for me, it's a segue into something we just talked about. Some people may not like my answer. I'm curious what your answer will be. This is BD Moore, who is the undisputed greatest of all time when you combined everything. Box office, mic skills, impact on the business. Who would you say is the GOAT?
Man, box office, mic skills, impact on the business. This is a rough one. And my favorite wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels, wrestling wise in the ring. But it's in my head. Right now. It's like Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold and The Rock. But I would have to choose. I have to choose. This is hard. I'd have to choose Hulk Hogan because of the longevity, I suppose. But the mic skills really gets me. So. This is a hard one. I want to choose. Oh man, this is a tough one, man. It's between. I'll tell you, it's between Hogan and Stone Cold and The Rock for me. I'm gonna choose Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay. Yeah, there's no wrong answer here.
Yeah, there isn't, but it's hard to, longevity wise. It's Hogan, and yeah.
Yeah, I had tough decisions also. For me, it came down to Hogan and Rock more than anything, only because Austin, see, I'm an older guy, and my favorite baseball player of all time is Reggie Jackson. Reggie Jackson was on the Yankees from 77 to 81, 5 years. And those 5 years were so impactful that not only, did he go in the Hall of Fame as a Yankee, they retired his number. 5 years, that's all it was. When I look at Austin, I look at 98 to early 2000s.
2 years.
The longevity is not as long as I expect. I go with Hogan, and the only reason why I go with Hogan,
right,
because even with his promos in the 80s, everybody would be like, "Well, let me tell you something, brother." Everybody would do the same thing, and then it became Mean Gene and everything like that. And of course, he didn't psychologically destroy someone. Somebody like Ric Flair or CM Punk and others are better on the mic. But when you
Roddy Piper.
Yeah, exactly. So when you take the overall box office effect on the business, I don't think WrestleMania would have ever been successful if Hogan wasn't a part of it, and it continued and it built. And then you look at what he did for the NWO, being that main figurehead. I got to go with Hogan.
I think you're right, and you make me want to change my answer 100% to Hogan, because also Stone Cold's heel turn was nice, but it didn't do what Hogan's did. It shifted the business, and of course I got into wrestling because of Hogan. The reason I'm into wrestling is WrestleMania 5, and I saw that promo, and certainly the promo doesn't age as well now when we look back on it. But like you said, during that era, it was 8-9 years of WWF, or 10 years of WWF face Hulk Hogan, that Andre the Giant slam, and just go throughout the years. It's incredible, the longevity. And yeah, maybe mic skills and Stone Cold saved and revitalized the business. But like you said, 2 years, 2.5. So yeah, I think I would go Hogan as well. Now it comes down to The Rock and Stone Cold for second place. Yeah, we'd have to probably argue that one. I'd put Stone Cold number 2, I think, though.
Yeah, I'm with you, because the amount of money that he made and the storyline of going against your boss, that just took it to a level that we had never seen in wrestling. I mean, The Rock obviously was right there also, but it feels that, I think Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon was bigger than The Rock versus whoever. You know what I mean? The Rock was one of the, top personalities, but I think that deep Stone Cold versus Mr. McMahon, going against your boss and causing hell and everybody buying the merch and the numbers.
Number one selling T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. So I probably would give Steve Austin the edge over The Rock. So
it's just too bad we didn't get a longer time with Stone Cold. And you know, you could feel though when The Rock's time came too that he did surpass Austin for a little bit there, and it was kind of amazing, like to see that, because you would have thought nobody's ever going to beat, you know, what was going on with Stone Cold. So The Rock was perfect timed. He came around perfect timing, great chemistry, and obviously box office. And the talent of The Rock is insane. The guy was like, is there something this guy cannot do? Yeah. Like the best on the mic.
I agree. By the way, shout out to everybody who is still hanging out tonight, having a good time. If you're enjoying the show, take a moment, hit that like button. Much love. Spider Pig 1000. And as some of you that sent questions, you notice I had to condense it because when you put a question and we post it, you can't have 3-4 sentences. It can't fit. But Canada and UK fans have wanted WrestleMania for many, many years. Do we think that WrestleMania will ever go to Canada or the UK?
WrestleMania, of course, they'll go to Canada because they've already done it a couple of times. Yeah, of course they'll go back to Toronto. And the UK, UK for WrestleMania.
Yeah,
they just announced that big show that they're doing over there. I think that they're afraid to do Canada for the big shows because they feel like they can do any show in the UK and it will be a big show. So it almost gives them an extra show. And I feel like that's why that they've decided they haven't done a SummerSlam or they haven't done a WrestleMania in the UK yet. And that they will do a UK show, but they don't feel like it has to be that unless. But I would think that they would be maybe worried because they would sell more tickets. They would be even bigger. Wembley Stadium or whatever is out there now that's big enough to house it. I would love to see it. I think you would. I think a lot of the fans deserve it after all these years. You know, give it to them. You know, something. SummerSlam, why not? I can see Vince McMahon doing SummerSlam week 1 and week 2 where they in two different countries. SummerSlam, like it's in America one week, the next week it's in the UK. But yeah, I think SummerSlam is possible. I just don't see WrestleMania, and I think the thing that's holding them back, like I said, is that they see it as an extra event like Saudi Arabia. They don't need to, you know. They're greedy. You know, they feel like they'll make a little bit more money in the U.S.
Oh my God!
I don't know.
You know, time difference obviously comes into play, but I have said this before. I would not be surprised if WWE had a WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. I know that sounds insane, but when you realize the amount of money that they drop for these individual events, it would not be out of the realm that WWE makes $500 million for doing WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. I don't think people understand the amount of money that could be dropped because of this. I could see WrestleMania happening in Saudi Arabia before I see it happen in the UK. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the money. It really is all about the money. But
like you said, the time difference, though, if you're going to sacrifice that time difference, it's going to have to be a lot of money. I think they're worried about the PR at that point and the time difference. But like said, any money, like that's why they're greedy. What did they call it when they went to Saudi Arabia? They called it like the biggest Royal Rumble ever.
Yeah, the greatest ever.
See, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, right? Where they're trying to sort of give Saudi the name of it's like the Royal Rumble,
the greatest WrestleMania ever. I could see that.
Like they think that they think they don't really know, you know, what the difference is. It's the same name. They don't understand. So they can get away with that and then get the money and then not piss off the North America and the rest of for the time zone difference. So they're trying to be greedy about it and try to ignore it. They're doing the Tony Khan thing with the money.
I agree. Absolutely.
All right. We'll see if Saudi catches on though and goes, no, we want to WrestleMania.
Jonathan Cantries. Who do we possibly see dethroning Roman for one or both titles?
Be the biggest baby face that's in the company at the time. That's the only person that's ever going to dethrone this guy for the titles. They better be bringing in money, and they better be the top thing. Now, my two things are Cody and Braun Breaker. They're going to push Braun Breaker, try to get that to happen. That doesn't work. It could be Cody Rhodes. The only other person it could be is somebody who surprisingly gets wildly over with the fans. And I think WWE is really on their knees hoping that within a year, somebody like that is going to pop up. And if they don't get that, then Roman will keep that belt.
I have said a few times now that, don't be surprised if Roman drops the 2 titles to 2 different people in the same night. He may have to, down the line, defend both titles in individual matches, or 3 people in the ring, 2 in Roman, and both titles are on the line. I could see Cody and Drew McIntyre, or Cody and Bobby Lashley. I don't know if I would go Cody and Brock, but then again, I think Brock having a high-profile title victory over Roman, even though Brock doesn't care, I think that could be a possibility as well. I think it's going to be Cody and somebody else. I think something will happen in the storyline. Who knows? Maybe The Rock costs Roman Reigns his titles, and that sets up the WrestleMania match. Maybe something like that. Maybe Rock and Roman exchange words on a previous SmackDown or something, and it sets up SummerSlam, and maybe Rock shows up, gives Roman the rock bottom, and then somebody pins him, and he loses the championship. That could be the setup too. So
I think you might actually see Cody face Roman at some point early and not beat him, and then Cody win the Rumble or something like that, and then face him. And they hope that that's the story there. I mean, that's probably what I would do if the fans would continue to support Cody, if that still goes that way. But again, it's going to have to be someone huge. They got to be, because Roman is the most over thing in the company now, which is good because we all used to bash him when he was a face, but now they need a face.
Yeah. Shinzo the Great, after Vince passes, will WWE go to family members, or will the new owner come in and do like a clean house, cut, start fresh? Do you think either one would happen?
Certainly doesn't look good for family right now. I could see that certain people are in place, like there's something written in there, like Stephanie always, has this or that part of her job. But yeah, it really feels like I'd like to think it would go to Stephanie at this point. And then obviously Triple H and Shane and them are there. But it looks like it's going to somebody else. It looks like it's going to Khan or whoever, or Disney's coming in. My thing was always that they were going to bring in big shareholders, like so that you wouldn't necessarily see WWE, hey, we're selling to this company right now. But what you would see is these, Disney comes in and owns a portion. Exactly. Like you have a couple of big boys come in and share the company with them. I could see that more than anything.
Yeah, as far as cleaning house, though, I mean, again, I know there's a lot of people out there that focus only on the creative side of WWE and nothing else. But when you generate the revenue that they generate and they're pleasing the stockholders, it's hard to argue with WWE and complain about storylines when then they show you the amount of money that they're making. That, we could say, well, you could be making more if you just improve this. But it's really hard to argue when that kind of coin is being made. So if a new company were to come in, there's a saying, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. If you're making record revenue, why would you want to change any of that? I mean, that's the scary part about it. A lot of people are not thrilled with their creative side of what we see on TV, but when it still generates the money that it does, like, how do you have any leverage?
WWE used to be the best wrestling business in the world. Now they're the best business.
Yeah.
They're one of the. This is incredible. The amount that they're able to pivot, it's incredible. We created the WWE Network. The stocks went through the roof. I remember I bought my WWE stocks at $9, and it went to $95 or something like that within 6 months of the network launch. It was amazing. If I had a lot more money to have invested, I'd be rich right now. But I only bought like 15 or 30 shares just for the fun of it. So that, and then the pivot to sell the network to Peacock, even though Peacock sucks. And that's the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of these moves aren't fun for us. None of this is. Peacock stinks compared to the WWE Network. But again, when you have all that money on the line, it's a no-brainer to sell it and to do what they've done. So they're always, you talk about Band-Aids over bullet wounds earlier. I mean, they're always on to the next, sly thing to get them a ton of revenue, despite the product being atrocious at times.
Yeah. And look, a lot of people don't realize this deal with Peacock is not permanent. So when the deal is up, if they can't come to a new deal, the WWE Network will be back. I could tell everybody with honesty, when the WWE Network was around, I would watch WWF Old School. I would watch, all the other, Nitros, Thunders. I would watch documentaries. Since they've moved to Peacock, I watch Peacock primarily just for the live pay-per-views. I don't really watch anything else.
It's irritating it's literally, we're that bad now. Think about how lazy we are. Like, searching that thing annoys me. So I just go, nah. Or I look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like when you're laying on your couch or your bed and you're watching TV and the remote is on the dining room table and you want to change the channel and you're looking at your dining room table and you see the remote there, but you don't want to get up and you'll literally just sit on the couch for the next half an hour like, I won't change the channel. I'm so lazy. I won't get up and just pull the remote. I have done that so many times that I'm so lazy that I don't want to go in the other room just to grab the remote. And I will stick and watch whatever is on my screen all night. And I'm like, and my fiance will say, get off your fat, lazy ass, get the remote, change the channel. And then I realized 30 seconds later, wow, yeah, like I could have been watching something else. And for 30 minutes, I watched something completely different simply because I didn't want to just go up and pull the remote. And
it's like when Xbox did the voice controls, and I remember I really never used it other than to shut it off. I would just pick up the remote because it just felt easier to do. Yeah. And that's all you can, it's just what it is. People don't want to do it. And so it sucks, but maybe Amazon, maybe Disney, maybe Amazon, and look at a bigger deal out of it later.
Yeah. Blaze and Bolts, who's your top 3 favorites right now at the moment, wrestling? Male, female.
Wrestling wise, I love Cody.
I'm going to pick 2 of the 3. I think we're at least 1 or 2 we're going to have the same, I think.
Similar. I like Cody right now because of the traditional style and his whole presentation. I guess I got to, oh man. I mean, wrestling wise, I haven't really loved the Roman matches, but Roman's on top in the WWE. So, I mean, he's not my favorite wrestler though at all. So I would pick Cody, and MJF is entertaining me. I'm going with entertainment factor mostly. MJF and Cody. I enjoy the 2 of them, and the third one might be Seth Rollins.
Okay, all right. So we have one in common.
Now you changed me early with Hogan, so you may name somebody that I go, ooh yeah, let me switch that out. But right off the top of my head, right now, those are them.
I go with Seth Rollins right now. I go with Kevin Owens. If Sami Zayn would have been outside of this Johnny Knoxville feud a little bit more, I probably would have put Sami Zayn on there. But right now for me, it's Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and either Bryan Danielson or MJF. I lean towards MJF only because Bryan Danielson, I mean, he's had some matches, but this group, it feels more of just like segments right now than anything else. MJF is just in a different world, so I would go MJF, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and I love Kevin, so he's on there too. He's just been so up and down, kind of like the Sami Zayn thing a little bit. They've goofballed them a little too much, but talk about impressive. Kevin Owens carrying, like, basically cutting promos to nobody for weeks and kept making that thing work out. So,
you know what? This is not one of the questions, but I got to ask you because I'm curious. Do you see any gold, possibly? I don't mean titles. I mean comedy gold with Elias as Ezekiel. What do you think?
I did. I got to be honest. I did laugh pretty hard the other day. Like when he came out there and he said, I'm his brother or whatever. I thought it was really funny. I'm worried that it's going to get old quickly and then I'm already kind of over it maybe. But I found it funny. And if they're creative going forward, yeah, I think I enjoy it. I like what they did. I think it's funny.
I mean, I know the lie detector test stuff is going to be stupid because he's going to answer questions and you're going to hear ding that he's telling the truth. Kevin Owens is going to think there's something wrong with the machine. They'll probably make Kevin Owens do the lie detector test and he'll fail something. I hope that they do segments where Kevin Owens gives Ezekiel a guitar and say, you know how to play the guitar. And then he starts like purposely like screwing it up and everything like that. Like, I don't know what this is. I'm curious to see where it goes. With it. Yeah.
Well, after listening to Road Dogg's, I listened to Road Dogg's podcast earlier tonight. All I can think about is people getting hit by guitars now. So
yeah,
maybe we'll get it.
Yep. All right. Spider Pig. Oh, we talked about that one already. My apologies. My apologies.
What a name, though.
Jonathan. Yes, we already talked about Roman. All right. So we got 3 more. Derek Hemmons. What are our thoughts on Noel Foley saying that The Undertaker should have mentioned Mick Foley in his Hall of Fame speech?
You know, I understand, sticking up for your father or, being, what it looks bad. I don't think it was a good thing to tweet that out. I would have tweeted out an apology. We said it on my show too, that we thought, it's a little weird that, we're surprised that Undertaker didn't mention this guy or that guy, but the Hall of Fame speech was so perfect. And he's mentioned them so many other times before, that it just felt like, well, he just didn't get to really getting into that. But in the context of the Hall of Fame speech that he delivered, you can see how he missed it, I suppose. But for her to tweet that out, if I was Mick, I'd be like, oh no, like this looks like cringy. Like, don't do this, don't do that. So I think it looks bad for her no matter what, kind of like a Tony Khan, robot tweet. But I think she should have just left it alone because I think a lot of people noticed it and mentioned it for Mick. So
yes. Yeah,
that's basically it. It's a little, can I say I wouldn't do the same thing if my father,
Yeah.
No, maybe I would have done it too.
Yeah.
I think going back in time and listening to her dad later, she probably wishes maybe she didn't tweet it out. But
yeah, I think it was an oversight by Undertaker. I know a terrible oversight, but I would not be surprised if Undertaker really thought that he mentioned Mick Foley earlier and just forgot. I mean, it happens. It just happens. I would not be surprised if Undertaker does, if this podcast that everybody's talking about, if it does end up happening, I would not be surprised if his first guest or one of his first guests is Mick Foley. And I think Undertaker during that podcast will publicly apologize to Mick, say, listen, I totally forgot, or he could even joke around and say, look, that's a match that, I try to block out of my memory. And but I think by now Undertaker has apologized to Mick probably more than once. And I don't think there's any animosity or bad blood at all.
Mick probably apologized for his daughter too. And then he probably said, hey, my daughter would have done the same. I'd hope like I'm sure that they've already laughed about it.
Sure.
But no, I think you're right. It's a great call. Could be Mick Foley, number 1 on the new Taker podcast, wherever it happens.
Yeah, I could see that.
I can't wait for that. That's going to be cool.
Yeah, I think everybody came up with the perfect name, Dead Man Talking.
Yeah.
Dead Man Talking. Dead Man Talking. What school do you go to? Pick one non-WWF old school wrestler that we would have liked to have seen in person. Wrestle in person. So somebody from back in the day that was not in WWF/WWE.
Somebody who wasn't in WWF ever. Old school wrestler.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, the person I'm going to pick was technically in WWF, but not really as a wrestler.
See, like everybody I think of is like, oh, that guy was in WWF. That guy was in WWF. Oh God! See, all the old school type of people like that. I grew up obviously in Boston, Northeast, and I'm younger than you, so everybody I think of is WWF. But maybe like, but yeah. See, I keep thinking of names. I'm like, I like to see Buddy Rogers, but I think he was in WWF. I would have liked to. I can't say Dusty because he was in WWF too, but I would have liked to see him back. And then in the end, it's guys like that. See, I want to see the guys from the NWA days. I would have liked to see the Ric Flair and the Dusty Rhodes from the NWA day, things like that. That's what I'd want to see. So that question's hard for me as far as outside of WWF guys. Back in the day, I would have liked to see Sting, but he eventually came to WWF. But I would have liked to see Sting back in the day, in the early 90s.
For me, I narrowed it down to either Magnum TA or Nick Bockwinkel. Nick Bockwinkel, I don't know, I just liked his over-the-top professionalism and, I don't know, there's just something about him that I just enjoyed his work. I mean, I liked Ric Flair's work, but it seemed like Nick Bockwinkel was a little bit more creative with, he changed up his arsenal a little bit more. But Nick Bockwinkel, I don't think would have been very entertaining for a lot of fans back in the day, but Magnum TA, I always wanted, or you know what? I'll even go with one better. The Von Erichs as a whole. Like we were joking about the Sportatorium last week. I would have loved to have been in the Sportatorium just once, just to see that madness of the Von Erichs and see if maybe on the concession stand.
Freebirds.
Yeah, I mean, just to see how they were attacked from the girls and, just, it was insane. Like, I probably would have loved to have been there once.
It's Magnum TA too it's just so sad, bro. It's like that, that drives you nuts. That poor guy, he was ready to be the juggernaut of the wrestling world,
Yeah. All right. Last question submitted, and then we're going to start bringing this home, everyone. Michael Gonzalez, if we could relive one wrestling moment for the first time, what would it be? Like a wrestling moment we've enjoyed in the past, but if we could relive it again for the first time.
Oh, that's a great question. I was there for one of them. And it was Worcester, Massachusetts, when Mick Foley won the championship.
That's awesome.
That place felt like it was it felt, you could feel it rattling, like that place. That was nuts. But I didn't realize at the time how amazing it really was. Now watching it back later, years later, it's like, wow. So that was a huge moment. That was when everybody heard Austin's music, just like that was huge. But relive a moment. I would want to be there. Wouldn't you want to be there for Hogan and Rock?
Yes,
that's one of them.
That's an awesome one because that's in my top 3 of favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. That is just a match that I still, it might be ultimately my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. Bret Hart, Austin is up there too, but the difference is, when you look at Rock Hogan, it wasn't just a match that was magical and the storytelling, but the crowd was insane, and Lawler and Jim Ross were epic. Like every aspect. Like it wasn't like, oh, the crowd wasn't into it all that much. No, the crowd went bananas. Oh, the commentary was kind of shitty. No, the commentary was incredible. And then they put on the performance of a lifetime. And
all while having to be completely in Lost Land because they were built. You couldn't have had the worst, you couldn't have had a worse build to the reaction of the crowd. I mean, Hogan trying to kill The Rock with a truck and all these things. And now that, if you weren't us right at the time and you didn't watch it, or you don't go back and watch every single Monday Night Raw, whatever, there's no way to convey how that storyline just was not that at all. But when you watch it back now, it just feels like an epic, awesome, the crowd cheered for who they wanted to, and it makes sense to you. But at the time watching it, you were like, wow, this is not going at all the way this was planned to go.
Yeah.
And that was amazing to see that too, how it spun into something new, and the commentators had to sort of adjust play that off, but go with it. Oh man, it's crazy. That gives me chills, that one.
Yeah, I would go with that one, and I would have to tweak something like a baseball game. When I used to go to Met games, what I would love to do is, even if I was sitting near the field level, I would watch the game, and I would also listen to the radio broadcast, because I wanted to hear the commentating and the play-by-play as I'm watching it there. So if there was a way that I could have somehow listened to King and JR doing commentary while being there live in person, I think that would have just taken it to a new level. But you know what? It probably could have been done if there was, I don't remember if it was streaming online. I don't remember if it was. But if you could watch like in demand online or whatever they were offering at that time,
you know what is coming? Yeah. You know what's coming, and I'll make this real quick. I know it's getting so late, and my wife's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. But here's the thing. Coming soon, and they've already done this, is the virtual reality stuff. And if they start doing this, it's going to be amazing. If you've seen this, they have the cameras all over the place. You grab a VR headset and you put it on, and you can literally watch a match. And you can choose camera angles. You can be anywhere. You can be sit in a crowd, awesome. And you can look around at the crowd, at the ring, at everything, and it looks like you're. It obviously doesn't feel like you're there fully in full HD, but it feels really good and really immersive. And you hear the fans, you hear the real mics because it's all recorded and it's uploaded. When WWE did that VR thing, this was like 6 years ago or 5 years ago. Yeah. It was a Finn Balor match that I saw. They had shots from the ring post, the ramp. And it feels like you are in the crowd and you're able to look around and watch the match from any vantage point virtually. Yeah. And it is amazing. And if WWE said, hey, WrestleMania is available in the VR experience with the surround sound and all these things, it's $100 or whatever. I mean, dude, like, oh my God, like after what I saw with that, I don't know how they haven't done it yet. $200. Yeah. You would do it. You would buy it on VR permanently to go in and experience that. I think there's something viable there, and I was excited by it. That would be amazing.
I would not be surprised 10 years from now. That might be more of a norm, that you get that live experience, that with the VR, that you put on the glasses and the headset, and you feel like you're there. I mean, and just you could hit a button and you're here, you're there, you're there, you're there.
I think you can still do it now too. Check it out, everybody. Take a look at it. You got VR headsets. WWE had this up for the Gear, Google the Gear VR or whatever, and I'm telling you, you can see it.
It'd be pretty interesting if they put somehow a camera on the ref, and you could actually like witness the match. I mean, I don't think they would do that, because then you would hear the ref communicating with the wrestlers like the refs do. Well, so unless you mute. You put the camera on the ref, no microphone. You put the camera on the ref, and then you have the mics hanging around in the audience in areas, and that's all you gotta do. Yeah. And you put a mic under the ring. Boom. Yeah, that would be interesting. That's something I think. Yeah, I love that idea. I love that idea. That's awesome. All right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sure, it's fine. All right.
Hey, what the hell? 300 likes. Hit the like button. 300 likes. So
yes. Let's get the 300 likes. We got 3 quick super chats. Just let everybody know, Battle of the Belts for Saturday. They are advertising Scorpio Sky defending the TNT Championship against Sammy Guevara. We also have Thunder Rosa defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Nyla Rose. And a match that I think some people may find interesting, Jonathan Gresham defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against Dalton Castle. So they are really going hot and heavy with the Ring of Honor stuff. Again, I agree with you earlier. I mean, you look at WrestleMania weekends, outside of that, Ring of Honor is not known to draw thousands of people. Ring of Honor on TV, people could have watched it on TV and it would not draw even 100,000 fans. So yes, it's being introduced to a much larger audience, but I don't know how much that's good, because I think Ring of Honor's gotta have its own TV. They've got to slowly introduce it. This is just too much. Ring of Honor, it doesn't make sense. And by the way, I don't think any belts are changing hands on the Battle of the Belts. No, I think Ring of Honor titles probably have the greatest chance of changing, because right now it's in name only for the most part. Ring of Honor right now is a name only. I mean, whether people like it or not, people are being signed. Remember, everyone, you don't have people signed to just Ring of Honor deals for the most part. Or I should rephrase that. AEW wrestlers can compete in Ring of Honor. I'm sure Tony Khan is going to offer more money because, hey, you want me to work Ring of Honor also? Yeah, I'll give you a payday for, representing Ring of Honor. I mean, there's got to be a little incentive there. When you signed a contract with AEW, you didn't sign the contract where they also have to compete in Ring of Honor. It's optional. But I'm sure that they are getting paid to do something under the Ring of Honor banner, even if it is on AEW television. So, yeah. All right. Chase, his comment before interpromotional thing is what's hurting AEW. Oh, good timing. But helping as well. It's a double-edged sword. I think we agree 100% with that. I think,
right now, we agree that they should do it. They're pouring it on too hard, though.
Yeah. I mean,
sorry, interrupting.
No, you're right. I mean, it's, Ring of Honor, I mean, even WrestleMania weekend, Ring of Honor did not draw, I think, the audience that people expected them to draw. I mean, I think they did, about 2,000? But that's under the Tony Khan regime. Mm-hmm. That is with the tease of AEW wrestlers being there, and it still drew less than, I think fans don't want to invest money in something that is in name only. And right now it's in name only. I mean, once they get TV, once they start touring again, then I think this picks up traction. But if you do this for 6 months and there's no house shows and just, we're working on it. Well, then you know what? Get it done first. Then you put all this Ring of Honor stuff on TV, because this added Ring of Honor storylines are taking away even more opportunity from AEW wrestlers that would have nothing to do with Ring of Honor.
100%. It's doing the opposite of what it should be. It should be utilized as a alternate programming where you can stuff some people and keep some people happy with working a little bit in other places. Instead, you're using it again to take away. Look at the new shiny toy. And everybody, the longer you're in AEW, the more jaded you get, because it's always look at the new shiny toy.
Yeah. Drew Bar 100. How much could WWE change knowing a lot of superstars' contract is up in AEW? He really starting to making better writing, offering better contracts. Well, the thing is this. If people, I think WWE is only interested on anybody who is perceived to be a superstar in AEW. Right now, and a lot of people refuse to talk about this, but now WWE knows how AEW ticks. Everything behind the scenes as far as what pushes Tony Khan's buttons, who is doing what, how it's being run, how it's perceived, how's this. Cody Rhodes, he's not a rat, but Cody Rhodes was in the executive position and was there. And now WWE knows all that. They know the recipe. They know how to make, what makes AEW. And, when Wardlow becomes a even bigger star in AEW, his contract is up. If WWE offers him $3 million, is he going to say no? So, we got to see what happens. Escala Steven, he wants to see Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill in the future. Not the current Jade Cargill, because I think you would end up with a Marina Shafir Sky Blue type of match, because Bianca would have to pretty much slow her entire repertoire down to turn into almost like a Gaga match. I mean,
I think it'd be better though, because I think Bianca is better than Sky Blue. But obviously, I think Bianca would do a lot better with her. But other than that, yeah, it's not really.
Yeah.
Why would you want to see that match of all the things you could see? I'd rather see Thunder Rosa or somebody versus Bianca.
Oh, sure. Look, when Ruby Soho was going to take on Jade Cargill, I told everybody on my show, I said, look, Ruby Soho has to literally she's going to pretty much sell almost like an injury the entire match to slow it down so it could be on Jade Cargill's level. As time goes by, Jade Cargill will get better and better and better. As a future match, once Jade Cargill has it all together, I think it would be excellent. Right now, though, That's why you don't see Jade Cargill in any really high-profile matches. You get a little Ty Conti here, you get a little bit there, but for the most part, she's just squashing people like grapes. She might be the female version of Goldberg at this moment right now. You know,
yeah.
Somebody's gonna have
borrowed
to
the catchphrase.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have to take it to the limit. So, and
I'd like her to take me to the limit and crush my head.
Yeah, they got some attractive ladies. Both companies do.
I can't believe that Vince didn't look at her and say, "My God, look at this." Why, I don't care. You know, like you're thinking, I don't care what she can't or can do.
Yeah,
I
even
need
Johnny
that
Ace.
on my TV.
Johnny Ace.
Boy, look at that.
I'm shocked. I am shocked that Vince McMahon. I would have hired her instantly on the look.
Yeah. I think AEW is going to have to start renegotiating some deals. In fact, I'll make a prediction within the next couple of months. You're going to see websites reporting that Tony Khan is renegotiating deals with the upper talents, maybe to add an extra year or two to the deal and up their pay a little bit. I think they really have to work on that because, like I said, the Moxley thing, I think Moxley will stay a little bit longer, but after everything, if Moxley ends up walking out, which I don't expect to happen, but if Moxley did, man, that is a dagger for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's a wake-up call also for a lot of people. So, and finally for tonight, Mr. Pico Boulevard, we don't think that Ric Flair is the greatest of all time. We deserve kidney stones.
Well, you're banned out of my Discord now, Pico. Go play with your family members. You scumbag. He's like one of the best in ring, heels wrestling wise. Of course, I love Ric Flair, and so doesn't but it's like one of the best talkers. But wasn't that question regarded towards WWE though earlier?
Not necessarily, but the thing with Flair, I don't think Flair revolutionized the business.
Right.
Ric Flair enhanced the business and made the business more respectful, more elegant, more classy. But, was Ric Flair the reason for NWA to have their, sure, maybe his feuds with Harley Race and others, but, I don't remember this worldwide phenomenon. When you look at Hogan in the 80s, I mean, the fantasy match was Hogan versus Flair, but you didn't see Entertainment Tonight and all these other places, even after WrestleMania ended, that they were all pushing Flair and NWA and all this and that. Flair is one of the greatest of all time, but he's not the greatest of all time.
He kind of, and I don't think, I'm not trying to compare these guys, especially on promo for sure, but Kenny Omega kind of reminds me of like how Ric Flair, back in the day, like, NWA and obviously in WCW at times in these big places, but he wasn't in the WWE. He wasn't in the WWF and on that sort of stage. And he didn't have that kind of presence, but he did do a lot of the wrestling crowd. They knew who he was. Yeah. Reminds me of Kenny Omega in that way, but obviously not in the promo and wrestling way, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's, the styles are completely different, but the personality and the charisma and the way he puts his character, yeah, I could see that. Absolutely.
It's just sort of the way he's seen in the wrestling world. You know what I mean? Like you could say to somebody, Hulk Hogan, and 10 million people know who you're talking about. You say, right now you say Roman Reigns, 3-4 million people, 5 million people know who you're talking about. You say Kenny Omega, 2 million people, 3 million. It's that level. That's what I mean by that. Obviously.
Sure. Well, we are almost, believe it or not, at 2.5 hours. We are going to bid farewell. Plug your shows. What's your schedule? Let everybody know because, I know there's quite a few people from your neck of the woods that had no idea about yours truly and vice versa. So I know quite a few tuning in tonight would love to, check out your shows and check it out live. So when are you going to be on again?
Yeah. All I can tell people is that, hey man, if you're coming over here, check out Don Tony after you check me out, and after you check out Don Tony, if you normally watch him, check me out the next day, and catch me on the replay. But Joe Cronin Show on YouTube, I think we're at 71,000 or something like that, so you'll find me easy. Twitter is different; it's at JCS Commentary, so Joe Cronin Show Commentary, JCS Commentary on Twitter. I've been banned several times, so that's my Twitter right now. But just look for the YouTube channel. That should hopefully always be there.
Yeah, I'll have a link. Yeah, I'll have a link in the descriptions and everything. I already have a link now, so everybody could go check it out. But I'll post one in the comment section too later. Joe.
Hey man, and it's great to be here. You don't understand, I'm not trying to suck up all night, but when I was casually delivering my opinions for years, I heard this man's voice in my head. I heard your voice in my head a long time ago. So it's pretty cool to be here.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see that you jumped over to YouTube because the interaction's been great. And you, Monster, and Cornet, and maybe there's like one or two little bits of somebody else that I will listen to. But, that's those Monster and Don Tony is those are the last few places I still go to listen to other people talk about wrestling. So
I appreciate
great to be here.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm glad we did this. And like I said, in the very near future, we need to do one that has nothing to do with wrestling. Because I think we're going to strike a lot of nerves. And I know there's some topics that we totally disagree on. But, I think that would be pretty interesting to see. But, I'll let you go. I thank you, for taking the time tonight. And we will keep in touch. And everyone, again, Joe Cronin Show, support it, spread the word, plug it. Never enough people tuning in. So, Joe, have a great night. All the best to you. And
have a good night.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much again for having me. Good night, everybody. And give them a like, a sub, and give them love on Twitter. And thanks for loving me. I'm going to go love myself in my bedroom. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Take care. Be well, everybody.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the hosts. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's alright. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.